What are the greatest words you can hear on a Friday? It's a football Friday. How you doing? Holy cow. The witching hour is here. Rent's due Sunday. Yes, sir. And by the way, our 4 hours are powered by our friends at BetUS. Make sure you check out the website. We have to always start the show off with Big Sales. How you doing? Hey, absolutely one of the best times of the year is right now. I love that college football game. Okay, last night we saw Notre Dame and Penn State. Will somebody please do me a favor? The next time I pick a James Franklin Penn State team to win a big game, shoot me. Okay? Shoot me. I cannot ever again pick James Franklin in a big game. He cannot win big games. End of story. That guy's only good for beating Northwestern, Rutgers, Maryland. He can't win big games. Oh, and I want to start it out by saying this. Congratulations to Marcus Freeman. Congratulations to him on doing a marvelous job and being an actual upgrade from Brian Kelly and his, how you doing, everybody, down here in Louisiana? Got from Vermont. Hey, how you doing, everybody? Come on down here to LSU. Isn't it funny? Marcus Freeman takes a football team to higher heights than anything Brian Kelly ever fucking did. This guy's got a shot at playing for the national championship now. Winner of Texas, Ohio State tonight. Awesome stuff, man. Way to go. But hey, Doc Rivers 2.0. Nick with a rare win right out of the gate. Do me a favor, guys. Please hit the like button. All supers go to the top. And this is what we get. You know why? Freaking ESPN. You know why nobody's watching that freaking network anymore? Because what do? The first thing out of their faces, by the way, the guy's half white, half black. What does it feel to be the first black guy to go to a national championship game? And you're like, why wreck the moment with that bullshit? You can have 1,000 stories throughout the entire week. Instead of making it about the coach, make it about the kids. Make it about the kids. He's Asian and black, okay. He's a mixed guy. And what did ESPN do? Of course they landed on. That's why nobody freaking watches that thing. Nobody's saying it's not a great achievement. Nobody's saying that. You're a sports network. You're not CNN. And you know why CNN has horrible ratings? Because of their race baiting. You're a freaking sports network. Act like it. The Entertainment Sports Network, not the Divisive Sports Network. It was so uncomfortable. He was uncomfortable. He says, I don't want to make this about me. I want to make sure we make this about everybody here when it comes to my team and everything. He immediately put it back on his team. That guy is a great coach to want to play for. I would love to play for Marcus Freeman. If that guy was the coach at Notre Dame when I was being recruited to Notre Dame, I'd have went there. That guy is a good-looking coach, man. His team's prepared, his coaching staff, no question about it. Why don't you make it about how great of a coach he is instead of about his freaking race? That's embarrassing. Nobody's saying it's not a story. First black coach, or kind of, to be in the national championship game. I hate when people make it about that when it's not about that. Dude, the bigger story is Brian Kelly, took the $10 million annually a year at LSU, and everybody thought that when he left Notre Dame, he was going to leave it in ruin. They got better. They got better. Congratulations, Marcus Freeman. That's the story on how he's elevated Notre Dame. I found myself somewhat rooting for Notre Dame. I can't stand both programs. Both of the schools cost us a national championship at one time or another. But I got to tell you, Mark Spindler's son, Rocco, plays in the O-line for Notre Dame, and then kind of rooting. I think he got hurt last night, too. Marcus texted me from Miami and from the game. So I really love the kid. And I've been following the kid's career since he was 10 years old. Me and Mark have been friends since we were at Detroit together. So I was kind of, I didn't really know who the hell to root for because I hate both programs. But I guess I was going for Penn State last night. Zero chance Howie keeps Baun. I pray I'm wrong. We're going to talk about that. The All-Pro team came out. We're going to hit on that here in a second as well. But tonight, OSU, as I said, in Texas, will play. Now, I'm going to say this, man. I see the Eagles and everybody in the Philly media saying 6 guys have made the pro or the All-Pro team. It's true. First and second team. It's a pretty good honor. First team is the ultimate honor. Not one Philadelphia Eagle offensive lineman. Hey, by the way, who said that? Who contradicted me, or who said that I'm wrong that Penei Sewell wouldn't beat Lane Johnson out for the first team All-Pro right tackle? Who said that? Somebody in here said that. I said it's a slam dunk. He's going to win the nod for first team All-Pro at right tackle. He's the best right tackle in football, no matter what Nick says. And hey, for the record, Lane's probably the second best offensive tackle in the game. Okay? He's probably the second best offensive. Is he better than Tristan Wirfs? Probably. Wirfs is a heck of a player. I mean, Trent Williams being out this year kind of opened the door for everybody, but the Associated Press has voted. Who said it? The Associated Press, the All-Pro team. Penei Sewell. I don't know who said it, but we're going to look at the list here. Let me throw this at you right out of the gate here, okay? Don't you think if the Eagles had gone for 2105 and got it, 2 guys would be on that first team All-Pro team? It is paper thin. I completely agree with this. Between Penei and Lane, no question. Paper thin. Yes, sir. That I will agree with. Okay? That I will agree with. It's paper thin. Yes. Yes. I mean, if you went like this, it's one of these votes. Hey, Sills, I'll take Lane. And I'll take Penei. Okay. I'll take Lane and you take Penei. Sure. If you want to go there, you can flip a coin on it. All supers go to the top. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate you out of the gate. Still got it because he's a better run blocker. I don't know about that. I think he got it because he's a better pass protector. He's a better pass protector. Remember, Detroit's a passing team. The Eagles are not. So where would you think that it didn't play a factor that Penei Sewell's a better pass protector? I mean, what did Lane have to protect? 2903? There's nothing in there. Jordan Mailata should have been the All-Pro. Again, it's the 50 sports writers that vote for the MVP that voted for this. Did Jordan Mailata have beaten Tristan Wirfs out? Hey, I don't know about you, man, but Baker Mayfield has had a great year in him protecting Baker Mayfield's backside. So I don't think so. Baker Mayfield's the hottest quarterback going into the playoffs of any quarterback. Baker Mayfield's the hottest quarterback. So let's look at the All-Pro team before we get into the topics and my prediction for Sunday's game. First team. I'm starting to think Lamar Jackson may actually win the Most Valuable Player award. First team All-Pro. Lamar Jackson. Is it a shock? No. Are you surprised? A little. I do think Allen's going to win the MVP by a narrow margin, but you can't look away from the year that Lamar Jackson has had. It's one of the greatest. Would we not agree? It's one of the greatest seasons that a quarterback has ever had in pro football history. 42 touchdown passes, 4,200 yards. I mean, 950 yards rushing. Have you ever seen anything like it? What do you have, 5 picks? That's incredible. He's absolutely been incredible this year. Baker only one to school Jordan. Or Jaden, excuse me, 38-17. How about this, James? Mayfield beat both the Eagles and the Lions this year. It's pretty incredible. You know, I mean, Baker Mayfield has had a great year. Okay? A great year. I mean, here's the All-Pro team. Barkley makes it, obviously. Wide receivers, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and Ahmad St. Brown end up rounding up the receivers. AJ's healthy. He probably beats out Ahmad St. Brown. That's AJ's spot, probably, if he's healthy. Did AJ have an all-pro year this year? I don't know. Even when he was healthy. He's so undefendable, though, man, in that slot. Damn, that thing is so hard to... I mean, hey, how many people in here are old like Sills that remembered that slant pass to Rice from Montana? It was undefendable. You couldn't defend it. Rice would run that slant, and he was gone. He was just gone. And that's kind of what I see here with AJ. When AJ, he's not the speed that Rice has. But boy, I'll tell you, man, when he runs that slant, you can't defend that thing. It's literally unstoppable. Bowers should be the offensive player of the year, all-pro as a rookie's nuts. At the tight end spot, in the game that's got Travis Kelce, Kittle, Goddard, Mark Andrews, absolutely. Brock Bowers has had the best year of any rookie in the NFL, period. That's Jaden Daniels. That's Quinyon Mitchell. That's Jared Verse. Nobody that was drafted this past April has had a better year than Brock Bowers. He is everything and more you wanted out of Georgia. What an absolutely insane year he had. And he played in Las Vegas with toilet quarterbacks. What an absolute superstar. A.J. Brown, modern day Michael Irvin. I see the same traits. Hey, I'll give you a funny one too, Khalid. Last night, Michael Irvin goes, who do we root for these two shitty programs we hate? I go, I don't know. I got a tough time too. Notre Dame, Penn State. I'm not sure who to vote for or who to root for tonight. He did the same thing. Me and him were both going, man, I hate both these schools. Yeah. So, hey, yeah, no, he and T.O. He's like that T.O. shit, man. Yeah, Brock Bowers, just absolutely sensational. First team All-Pro. What an absolute amazing, amazing year he had. Left tackle, Tristan Wirfs, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, beats out Jordan Mailata. As I told everybody, when I came up with the big sales, first annual National Football Show All-Pro team, Joe Thuney, Kansas City. There's no better left guard right now. And by the way, Landon Dickerson, I mean, he's right in there too. Right guard is Quinn Meireles from the Denver Broncos. I think that kid is an absolutely great football player. I think he's completely underrated. He's a really good-looking player when you look at what they did this year, especially protecting Bo Nix, a rookie. I mean, no doubt about it, man. I got to go back a little bit here. I'm a little bit shocked when it came to Lamar making that first team All-Pro team. I'm a little bit shocked on it. Creed Humphrey is the center. Now the defense. Edge rushers. Not surprising here in the front seven, except for one man. I'm going to show you something here, guys, which is incredible on what Zack Baun did this year. Is this not standard? And did we not expect Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson, the edge, Probably maybe not Hendrickson. You probably would have looked at probably the kid in Dallas, okay, and said maybe him should have been in there with Myles Garrett as the two edge rushers, and you would have expected Micah Parsons to be in there, but Trey led the NFL in sacks this year. Okay. Did I not tell you a month and a half ago who the defensive tackles were going to be for the All-Pro team? They were going to be Cam Hayward, and they were going to be Chris Jones. And that's exactly who they ended up being for the Associated Press first-team All-Pro. Jalen Carter had no shot at beating those two guys out. Now, Jalen Carter next year, if he has the type of year, listen here, if he has the year he had this year, he'll be first team over Cam. Okay? It's kind of how it works. As great as Barkley, as Baun is the best signing. I don't know about that. You're not winning games with just signing Zack Baun. Sorry, dude. Your defense would be good, but you ain't moving the sticks with your quarterback. I disagree with that. You're not winning games with your quarterback. You won games this year, and you're 14. And I'll make a point to you when I get into what I see for Sunday's game. Saquon Barkley's had way more impact on your football team than Zack Baun has. And Zack Baun has had a ton of impact on your team, but nothing like Barkley. I mean, you're out of your tree if you think that. 2,000 rushing yards, okay? 2,000 rushing yards. You can't get away from it. And what he's brought to the offense. And get this, M. Reyes, I'll show you exactly why M. Reyes is full of shit here when we get to the breakdown here. So let's go here. Zack Baun, linebacker, received the most votes of any of the linebackers, Fred Warner and Roquan Smith. Congratulations. You can say goodbye to him now. Bye-bye. You are not resigning him for the money you think you're signing him for. And I don't feel obligated to you to give you a hometown discount. I'm 27 years old. I've made some fair money. I was a third-round pick in New Orleans, so I have some money. But now I'm going to get generational money. I'm not sitting around negotiating. Now, I'll give you this. If you give me the money up front and you give me a good portion of that money up front, I might take less than a base. Because it'll make me feel better about having a $20 million signing bonus. Hey, do me a favor, somebody. Bob, what was the signing bonus that Patrick Queen had? I think if you look at that Patrick Queen number and you look at Patrick Queen's contract that he got with the Pittsburgh Steelers a year ago, I think that's the template that Howie's going to use to sign Zack Baun. I was thinking, I think Pittsburgh ended up giving him $13.4 a year, but the signing bonus dropped that down from $15. He's not making $6 million. Who in their right mind said that? That he's making $6 million. Patrick Queen is not making $6 million. He's making $13.4. The signing bonus was 11. Is that right, Sam? Signing bonus is 11. You give me the 11 up front, and then you give me 12 to play. I'm doing that. That's doable. Okay, that's doable. Now, if he goes onto the market and wants to test the market, okay, and see, I mean, an all-pro linebacker going on the market, that's the double-edged sword of this. If a kid ends up having an all-pro season and he ends up having a year like Zack Baun had, and you sign him to a one-year contract, you have no leverage over him. Barkley, 897 yards less than Hurts is passing. Elite! Oh, I know. That number gets me every time, 2903. Who are we keeping, Baun, Milton, or Becton? I think you can keep them all. Okay? I think you can keep them all. I do think that re-signing Becton is going to be the hardest one. Okay? I think it's going to be a harder one. Is that right, Philly? Dude, 11.5, and then you give me 11.5 was the signing bonus, and then you give me 12 million, 11 million annually over a 3-year contract. That's doable for me. In a system that I like, is the grass greener on the other side. Why the hell would I want to go to Atlanta? Why the hell would I want to go to? I want to play for a winner. And most of the winning teams are not going to pay you that kind of money. Why? Dude, where do you guys think the worst place in the world Zack Baun would fit in? You're going to be shocked when I tell you this. Where is the worst team in the world that Zack Baun can sign with? I'll make the point to you. See, Takeem says the Jets, the Raiders. You guys are not thinking. What is Miami? Bob, tell these guys, what is the worst team in the NFL that Zack Baun can sign with? There you go. Kansas City. Why? Well, we got Patrick Mahomes here, and people take pay cuts when they come here, just like in New England. You don't make money in Kansas City. You don't make money in these winning places. You know why? If they've got an elite quarterback in the building, they're not going to sign you to giant money. You take pay cuts when you go to places like that. How many people ended up going to New England during the Brady era that never made top dollar? Name me one guy who ever made top dollar in New England. Not even a quarterback did. Brady was never the highest paid guy in the league. Their philosophy was, if we can't play Brady as the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, why would we pay you? Okay, why would we pay you? They never see. Look at this. He forgets the story. Randy Moss was traded for a 6th rounder, and they paid him like $2 million a year. When his contract came up, they traded him. They never paid Moss huge money in New England. Never. Moss was traded for a 6th rounder to New England. You forget that. He bombed with the Raiders. Totally bombed with the Raiders. Patriots send a 6th rounder and I think a pick from Syracuse. A kid from Syracuse. And they never paid anybody. Okay? They never paid. Kansas City's not going to pay. You go to teams like the Jets, Miami, the Bears. All those shitty teams are going to overpay. Dallas, they need massive linebacker help. Tennessee. Those are places. If you're Zack Baun, you want to play in that rebuild shit? Not me. Now, if you want to chase money, that's one thing. A lot of players do. They'll take the bag of money and they'll leave. And I don't begrudge those guys. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. Okay? Hey, that's just what it is, man. If Baun walks, we need to beef up the D-line more. Yeah, but you're talking more about backups and shit like that and drafting an edge rusher. Sure. By the way, I told you to draft Edgerrin Cooper, too. You're going to see him this week. He was the NFL Rookie of the Month in the NFC. He's a really good football player. I spotted that kid when he was at A&M, and I started talking about him before April. I was talking about him in February of last year. Edgerrin Cooper. And now this kid's one of the top linebackers in the league. I liked him a lot. Not telling you should have taken him. I'll tell you what, I may have taken him. Instead of Cooper DeJean. Because taking him, I would have had him 3 years on a contract at a position that I may lose Zack Baun and feel comfortable with him. And I'm set up for the next 10 years under rookie contracts, at least for the first 4 years with Kobe and with Edgerrin. And it's a financial move that you make. You get really good linebacker play with 2 rookies. because now you got a decision to make on Baun and how high you're going to go. Hey, guys, get this. Don't fucking think money's not part of this conversation. It always is. Penei Sewell is not overrated. He's the best right tackle in the game. Penei Sewell, right tackle. There's your first team All-Pro team. Your defense, as we said, Zack Baun, Fred Warner, Roquan Smith. Your corners are Patrick Surtain, who we wanted you to trade for. Had him on the market a year ago. You guys wanted no part of it. Okay, he's All-Pro. Derek Stingley from Houston, another Ed Orgeron guy, who's now the All-Pro cornerback. Seals, make a pick. Keep Baun or trade for Garrett. Trade for Garrett. Myles Garrett is a game wrecker. Zack Baun is a great player. You're talking about a Hall of Fame talent versus a really good player. And a one-year wonder as far as I'm concerned right now. Till we see consistency, I don't know what he is, except a great 2024 season. Myles Garrett is going to give it to you and bring it to you every game. He's a game-changing football player. Okay? Zack Baun's had one season. Myles Garrett has a historic season and a historic career, and he's continuing it. There's no comparison. So, talking about Zack, I'll give you 10 Zack Bauns before I end up sitting here telling you that you don't go for Myles Garrett. You can't, because it's money too. You're talking about $25 to $30 million for a player of that ilk. You're talking about 11 or 12 for Baun. Nobody's going to overpay for the kid too. All right? That guy's having a historic career, and he's young. Myles Garrett is a game-changing football player. Zack Baun has had an outstanding season. That's the difference between the two. Did you hear me? One's a historical player. The other guy had a great year. There's a difference. How you evaluate that. Now, is he going to back it up next? Here, I'm not questioning Myles Garrett next year. I'm questioning if Zack Baun's going to duplicate that. An injury in front of him. Something happens to the quarterback on the other side, which makes your offense inept, like it did in Cleveland this year. Anything can happen. You understand that Myles Garrett made the first team All-Pro on a horseshit Cleveland team. And last year, they were number one in defense. That's how good that player is. Not taking anything away from Zack. Nothing. But when you start making conversations about historical players and the great players and the first team All-Pros, there's a dividing line. These are the one percenters of the one percenters. Who do you think will consider restructuring their contracts to help free up some cap space? I don't know how much they could do on Jalen's contract. A lot of those offensive linemen have big contracts. Maybe they can go to Landon and restructure his contract. They're going to get free up money depending on what they do with Slay. Remember something, Slay could be a casualty of the cap. He could be a casualty of all the players on the team. Remember something, they're going to get money off the Bradbury deal. By keeping Bradbury, not having the $4 million dead cap money, there's no question. I know what they did. They made sure that they didn't have that $4 million on the cap because they're going to need that money in contract signings. Milton, Becton, and Baun. Those are the three dudes. Isaiah Rodgers, great looking player. He can fucking walk as far as I'm concerned. Okay, those are the guys that I have now centered my eyesights on and what I have to do, besides my coach and my GM. My priorities are my coach, my GM, okay? Coach and GM, and those three players that I mentioned. Carson Beck to Miami, how do you feel? I feel great about it. Mario told me this morning, cost him $1.5 million. Okay? Guy's been in big games. Do I think he's a great prospect? No. Do I think that he's like a third-round guy? Probably. Great. I think he helps Miami maintain an opportunity to win 10, 11 football games and compete in the ACC. $1.5 million it cost him. Okay, well, hey, the shit ain't cheap. Did you hear what the salaries are for the Ohio State Buckeyes tonight? They spent over $160 million in contracts to get that Ohio State offense on the planet. College football, amateur sports, that thing's long gone. $160 million for that Ohio State Buckeyes offense. Let's finish up the defense here, and then we'll make comments on the Eagle Pro Bowlers. The slot is Marlon Humphrey from Baltimore. The safeties are Kirby Joseph from Detroit and Xavier McKinney. The two best safeties in football right now are those two cornerbacks. Safeties. A second team, Josh Allen, Derrick Henry. AJ makes the second team. Mulata. By the way, there's my boy Quentin Nelson at left guard over Landon Dickerson. Remember, Xander and I had a conversation about who was the better guy at the left guard position. All pros, the kid in Indianapolis. Frank Ragnow is the center. Chris Lindstrom is the right guard, and Lane Johnson is the second team All-Pro. First team. How about TJ Watt not being on the first team All-Pro team? That kind of was a shocker to me a bit, that he didn't make that first team and they gave it to Trey Hendrickson. I get Trey led the NFL in sacks. So TJ's on that. The Bonito kid, the Denver, is on it, and so is Andrew Van Ginkel. Remember, Van Ginkel was a guy who played with Vic, and Vic really helped his career a year ago. So he's benefited. How about this? Vic has helped Andrew Van Ginkel become an all-pro type player. And when he was in Miami, it was Vic that was developing him. He ends up going to Minnesota. He's now a first-team All-Pro. That's pretty great. Interior lineman, Zack Allen. Remember, Zack Allen played in my conference, believe it or not, the FCIAC up in New England, as one of the best high school football conferences in the country. He played at New Canaan High School. I think he went to Boston, if I'm not mistaken. Jalen Carter from the Eagles, linebackers. Frankie, how about this? You guys still think you have the best linebacking core in the NFC East? Do you? Slay retires, especially if we win the Super Bowl. There'll be another $9 million probably freed up. You guys think you guys have the best linebacking core in the NFC East? New Canaan's a great high school football program. Absolutely. Do you think you have the best linebackers? Well, second team All-Pro linebackers are Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu from the Washington Redskins, and Zaire Franklin from Indianapolis. Here's the kid I wanted you guys to draft a couple of years ago at corner, Trent McDuffie. Hey, Xander, can you imagine this? Everyone, imagine if you listen to Big Sales, you'd have Trent McDuffie and Quinyon Mitchell right now playing corner for you. I told you to take the kid, Trent McDuffie. You guys told me he was too small. I'm like, kid's a Pro Bowler. Little did I realize he'd be All-Pro. I said, you need to draft this guy. This guy's the best corner in the draft. Now, the guy said he was too small and he went to Washington, University of Washington. And I'm like, this guy's going to be a great football player. And there he is. You could have had Quinyon Mitchell and Trent McDuffie. No. It was Jalen Carter's draft. It was Jordan Davis's draft, excuse me. No, wrong guy. Then again, you could have Kyle Hamilton, but hey, who's counting? Derwin James is in the slot. I can't believe he didn't make first team. Kyle Hamilton is the second team along with Budda Baker, safeties. So there's like 6 Eagles. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you had 2 first-teamers, Baun and Saquon Barkley. Big Sills, I'm all about drafting as many kids as possible from Notre Dame because I believe in that coach to develop great players and men. 304. I have always shied away from Notre Dame players. Name me a superstar Notre Dame player over the last 15 years. Zack Martin. Receivers? No. Quarterbacks? No. I like the running back that's with the Rams, but is he generational or a great player? I don't know about great. He's good. 15 years, Real Zeal. Let's stay in the room here. Name me a skilled player Notre Dame has put on the map in the NFL where you went like Golden Tate is a dude. Name me a skilled guy, quarterback, wide receiver, running back, that you would draft out of Notre Dame. I got that. I said Kyle. I got it. Kyle Hamilton and Zack Martin, probably. Those guys. Okay? Sills knows everything? No. I'm asking you a question. Name me a skilled offensive player Notre Dame has produced in the last 20 years. It's called skilled player, dude. Who's Quentin Mitchell? Name me one skilled player that Notre Dame has produced in the last 20 years. Wide receivers, quarterbacks, running backs. Name me one. You don't go to Notre Dame. Now you might because of what you said, because of Marcus Freeman. If I'm a skilled player, I'm going to Notre Dame. I'm not going to Notre Dame to get screamed at by Brian Kelly. That's not happening. I think Brian Kelly repels people. A Kyle Rudolph? Sure. Okay. That's not a great football player, skilled guy, wide receiver, or running back or quarterback. There's none. No one wanted to play for Brian Kelly. I think that's going to change. Okay? I do, under Marcus Freeman. I agree with you, 304. Okay? I agree with you. I think that changes. And I think you're going to start to see more quality SEC-type players wanting to play for Marcus Freeman. I'm not going to go play for Marcus Freeman because he's black. I'm going to go play for Marcus Freeman because he's a great coach. And that's why I'm going to play for him. And I think great assistant coaches are going to want to coach for him. Brian Kelly's a cancer. I hate him. I didn't like him when he was at Cincinnati, and I couldn't stand him when he was at Notre Dame. It's hard not to root for Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame. It really is. He looks like a super quality guy. Talks about his family all the time, God, all that. I like him a lot, man. There's a Mike Tomlin kind of attraction to him. Okay? That's right. That's right, Spike. Notre Dame still wants the admissions. And that will always be that's why what he's doing right now, getting into the national title game. I've told you this before about Notre Dame. If Kirby Smart is recruiting 20 players to Georgia, take a look at the admissions on what it takes to get into Georgia versus what it takes to get into Notre Dame. That's all you need to know. And by the way, to Xander, Alabama's a great school. But if you look at their admissions, 87%. That means anybody gets in. Almost 9 out of 10 people who apply for Notre Dame or Alabama get in. That's not really how it works. Alabama is a really good school, but they do that so they can get their football kids in. Because they recruit some of these guys and they're 2.1 GPAs. Dude, 2.1 GPA is not getting you into Notre Dame. You got to be north of a 3.5 and have 1,100 on your boards. You can't have 720 on your SATs and get into Notre Dame with a 2.1. That's not going to happen. I don't care how great you are. So what he's doing now with that, it's like doing what it's like having Stanford in a national title game. I mean, it's not the point, Nick. Nick, it's getting them in. Once you're in, they'll keep you in. Okay? Yeah. By the way, M. Reyes knows. Yeah, because Jerome Bettis was a Prop 48 kid. They used to have a rule. Do you know why? Do you know why Lou Holtz won the national championship? Because Prop 48 was in play. You guys don't know and remember what Prop 48 was. It took under GPA kids like Ricky Waters, Jerome Bettis, Justin Tuck, players like that Prop 48 allowed Notre Dame to bring in. It was 1 year that they had Prop 48. And Holtz filled the entire 1987-88 roster with that. And once he did that, they won a national title. They've never been close. Well, Kelly had him in the title game, and they got blasted by Alabama. Okay? So what he's doing is great. I really like. But, and I agree, 304. Notre Dame will start to get better players in there now. They'll start to get the SEC kids and the kids from Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Ohio, Florida, Texas. Those are the places to recruit. Listen, if you're a Philadelphia kid, I go to Temple. I'd be hard pressed to go to Penn State. I would never go to Notre Dame. You want, hey, I'll move on to this. And I still even have to get to my prediction for Sunday. Let me tell you something. You know what? When I got my recruiting trip and I went to Notre Dame, I can't remember who took me around on my Notre Dame trip. But when they took me around, you know what they said? You want to become an All-American? You come to Notre Dame. You want to win national championships? You go somewhere else. That's what the players on the team under Jerry Fouts used to say. You want to win a national title? You go somewhere else. You want to be an All-American? You go to Notre Dame. Now, Marcus Freeman's changing. I like this guy a lot. Do you understand? I hate Notre Dame. I could care less. I posted a picture of me and Al Golden, who's a decoy. I freaking hate Al Golden. He destroyed my program. Okay? And Notre Dame, I loved it when we beat them 58-7. But I like Marcus Freeman. I do. Okay? And by the way, I never lost to Notre Dame. Thank God. Thank you. Yeah. Okay? Thank you. Hit the like button, guys. I appreciate it. No, but I agree. I think they're going to start getting more players to go to Notre Dame. That was a great effort last night. And I was really, there's a part of me that was cheering for him. And I loved how he put ESPN in their place. It was so important that he put them in their place. Black-white shit. You know what that's about? It's about team. Listen, and I'm not saying that it's not important. I'm one of the biggest advocates out of the 137 Division I college football programs. There are only like 10 African-American coaches. It's an atrocious number. I get it. But talking on ESPN is not going to get it done. ESPN needs to attack these colleges and presidents and alumni associations if you want more black coaches. It's not going to take ESPN's race-baiting stories to get it done. That's not going to do it. What nothing to do with Brian Kelly players. That's a sad thing, too, because get this. Look at all these LSU players that are in the NFL now. Those were all recruited by Ed Ogeron. I was told that Brian Kelly was going to have and upgrade the LSU program. Funny, LSU won an SEC championship, beating Bama, and won a national title and had some of the great. Hey, how about this? Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow. All those dudes, Stingley, are all Ed Ogeron guys. All Ed Ogeron dudes. What's he producing? Same old shitty Notre Dame type of guys from back in his time. I mean, come on now. All right, let's get to the game on Sunday here. What do you think of the clips of Joe Paterno that ESPN showed in the cold open? Or wait, there weren't any. I had this conversation last night with my wife about this. Penn State football is Joe Paterno. ESPN refuses to bring that up, but they'll bring up the race issue. Why can't you cover the entire? Isn't that a dramatic story to say this? Joe Paterno, as great as Joe Paterno was, the program at the end had massive issues. And they rise from the ashes with James Franklin to see them now in a chance to play for a national title. This is the same shit that goes on in our country today, that we cut half of our history in half and we ignore it. That's the story of Penn State. It's like excluding the story of OJ with USC football. Do you know, a couple of years ago, they had erased OJ's records out of the all-time rushing numbers. Why? OJ's part of the USC history and legacy. Why would you do that? He's part of it. He was a murderer. What's it got to do with USC football? What does that have to do with USC football? How can you mention Penn State without mentioning Joe Paterno? ESPN does it, but they'll bring up a guy's half race. That's why nobody watches them. That's why you guys watch us. Dude, it's like they think you're stupid. Like you don't know Joe Paterno existed. Recognizing Joe Paterno, that's not what that is. Acknowledging Joe Paterno, that's not what that is. Penn State, we're smart enough to go, isn't that the guy that had that whole situation at the end of the football coaching career at Penn State and everything went sideways for him like that? Yeah, that's the guy. Okay, well, we're smart enough to dissect that and make our own assessment. They don't want you to make your own fucking assessment over what happened to Penn State. They want to exclude it. Game Day did it too. I sent Pat McAfee. I said, you guys are going to spend the entire night talking about a half minority black coach and not bring up Joe Paterno on the other side of that? You're not telling the full story. All right. I like the college playoffs. That game last night was sensational. Will this game on Sunday with the Eagles and Packers be sensational? Do me a favor, guys. Please hit the like button. All right. Give me some scores on what you think this Sunday game is going to look like. It's U.S. policy. Only good history. Erase terrible history. Put everything in its proper context. Take all the good with the bad. That's right. You're exactly right, Harv. All you want to hear is the good. And quite frankly, I want to know both sides. Here we go. 31-17. 27-17. 31-17. 27-20. Nobody's without faults or flaws. If history's only comprised of people who are able to hide their flaws best, you're doing a disservice to the kids. Absolutely. And to the legacy and the history of the kids who played at Penn State, who won those 2 national titles. Do you understand when they brought that up last night, that the last time Penn State won a national title, that was against me? It was the most iconic game ever watched. Still to this day, 100 million people watched it. They did that against me. But they wouldn't bring up or show any of that game. Why? Because Paterno's on the sidelines. Just like crazy. All right. 27-19. This is what I see happening on Sunday. Okay? This is what I see happening Sunday, Packers and Eagles. Health of both quarterbacks going into this game is a storyline. Nerve issues in the elbow. I think it is elbow or hand with Jordan Love. And Hurts coming out of the concussion protocol. Both quarterbacks are dealing with some type of injuries heading into this game. Today, Jalen Hurts was cleared through the concussion protocol, so he's been cleared. And Jordan Love looks like he's going to play on Sunday. Okay? Both, in my opinion, in Philly, you're going to be relying on Saquon Barkley. And the Packers are going to be relying on Josh Jacobs. As much as you think Jordan Love and Jalen Hurts are going to be the centerpieces, they are the most important. The second most important people in those respected huddles are those two running backs. One guy's got 1,700 plus rushing yards and all-purpose yardage this year in Josh Jacobs, and the other guy's got over 2,000 total offensive yards, with two coming in the way of the run game, and that's Saquon Barkley. These are two fabulous football players. You can make the argument these are the two best players in the NFC when it comes to running the football this season. Great seasons for both guys. Great seasons. I'll say it. Do you know what the difference between those two running backs is, Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley? What would you say the difference is between those two backs? Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs of the Packers. What would be the difference, in your opinion, between the two? By the way, Jacobs is a former rushing title champion, too. What would you say would be the number one difference? Saquon more finesse, Jacobs more power. Do you know? There's just better players around Saquon. There's better players. I think Green Bay's got good players, but Eagle players, the O-line, the wideout, some extent the quarterback, the tight end. He's just got better players around him. Jacobs is a really good football player, but does he have that kind of skill set around him? No. There lies the difference. There's just too many good football players around Saquon Barkley heading into this game. I mean, I like Josh Jacobs a lot. He's a good football player. As a matter of fact, you could make an argument over the last 5 years, Jacobs has had a better career than Saquon Barkley. Prior to this year, even. He's had more rushing yards. I mean, yes. But there's just better football players. Here's the issue, too, that you get when you're looking at Barkley. What do you think the one thing that you're going to have to do? What do you think the one thing you're going to have to do? Okay? What do you think the one thing you're going to have to do if you're Green Bay in this game? What do you think you're going to have to do if you're Green Bay to win this ball game? You're going to have to stop Saquon. Okay? You're going to have to stop him. That leaves AJ open on that slant. That slant is undefendable. You can't defend that thing. Okay? You can't defend it. So you can do everything in your power to stop Barkley. And that's Hafley's number one, the D coordinator for the Packers, has to stop Saquon. Hurts doesn't frighten me. If I have to pick Barkley beating me or Hurts beating me, I'm going to take stopping Barkley, my number one priority. Jalen Hurts is a priority in the run game. Okay? He's a priority in that run game. So stopping that run game has to be number one. So what about the slant? Keep everything underneath. And you're going to have to play red zone defense. Keep them out of the end zone. If I'm Green Bay, I know they're going to get their yards. Keep them to field goals. If the Eagles roll down the field in the first series and they kick a field goal, that's a win for the Packers. I don't give a shit how many yards they give up. This is red zone defense. in scoring defense if you're Green Bay. If they put up 500 yards in total offense, but score 27 points, you're going to be in a fourth quarter football game. You have got to play red zone defense, and you've got to play with the lead if you're Green Bay in this game. In the first game, if you remember right, and I want to show you something here. This goes back to M. Reyes, what he said. I want to show you something because he brought a 10-game winning streak up. Hurts had 34 attempts in that first game. And since week 5, he's never thrown for more than that ever the remaining part of the year, and they went on a 10-game win streak. They took the ball out of his hands. And they went strictly with being a dominantly run football team. He threw the ball 34 times in that ball game. And after week 5, he never threw the ball anywhere near that throughout the remainder of the season. And then they started winning and went on that win streak. They went on that win streak because they took the ball out of his hands. As a matter of fact, that's the facts. He never attempted, after the bye, more than 34 attempts like he had in the first game against Green Bay. I mean, that's not a philosophical comment or an opinion. That's what they did. They came out of that bye going, well, we're going to limit the quarterback and his attempts and up the attempts in the run game. And they won 10 games. Okay? By the way, it's not an indictment. It's what they did. You could dissect it any way you want. And the only way we're going to dissect it is after the season, if they don't complete the mission of winning the Super Bowl. If that was the right way to go about winning a championship. There's no question. It was a formula to win a ton of games this year. Is it the formula to win a Super Bowl? Yet to be determined. Because then M. Reyes can sit in the entire offseason here, posting 14-3, and it won't matter. It meant nothing. At the end of the day, it meant nothing. So that debate is there for after the season. The debate now is that formula good enough to win a Super Bowl? We're going to find out. First game up. Here's my score. I got 34-23 Eagles. I can't see the talent in Green Bay hanging for 60 minutes. I see the Packers hanging for about 3 quarters, and then the Eagles pulling away. I just think there's too much talent in Philly. Hey, I think their quarterback is good. Okay? I think their quarterback is good, but good enough to overcome all that? Barkley's got too much talent around him. Jalen's got too much talent around him. There's just no excuse to come out of this game with a comfortable win. I don't know. I'm 34-23, man. Hey, by the way, what's the point spread? That kind of concerns me. The point spread is 4.5. Jesus. That's awful low for a team that's lost 2 games in a row at the end of the season, the Packers. 4.5. Is it 4.5? It's 6? Oh, I thought it was 4.5, the point spread. Someone look at that point spread for me, because M. Reyes is full of shit 90% of the time. What is that point spread in this game? Yeah, well, the point spread does matter, dickhead Ryan. People who actually put the money, hey, they were right about Hurts. They thought he'd throw for 3,600 yards. Unfortunately, they gave him too much respect. Okay? It was 4.5. I see some books now. It's 4.5, 5, and I do see a 6. Okay? M. Reyes with a rare win. Congratulations. Now you can go sit in the corner and go, whoa, I got one, Sills. 4.5. God knows. Sirianni spoke today, too. We're going to talk a little bit about that. All right. That's my takeaway. I just don't see, okay? I just don't see where they have an advantage. They got a good run defense, but that run defense is going to be put to the test. Ravens had a good run defense. Steelers had a good run defense. And the Eagles were able to overcome that with their offensive line. This could be one of the greatest runs that the Eagles have ever had if they can consummate a Super Bowl win out of this. Okay? And hey, you're right, man. Packers are going to fight for this. You got to be prepared to be in a fist fight here with them. They're built a lot like you. They're just not as talented as you. Seals, the quick passing game, slants. I think that's what you're going to see, Bob, from Green Bay as well. Get the ball out of his hands, Love. And especially if that zone. Here, Bob, a lot of pre-snap stuff is going to play into this game. Vic Fangio's got to do some pre-snap and then post-snap coverages to kind of try to confuse Love. Love's pretty good back there, and he got a great play caller in LaFleur. I think you're going to get more 3 to 5 step drops out of Green Bay. You're not going to get a full 7-step drop out of that quarterback because he's banged up. And they got a running game that you got to you have to honor. Green Bay's running game you have to honor. I've got to honor Jacobs, and I got to honor that tight end. I mean, you could see some RPOs in this game by Green Bay. Okay? So, I mean, right, that slant pass is more devastating, in my opinion, than that touch push thing. And the slants will help Jalen in the rhythm on Sunday. Won't have the same overthink. That's right. He won't have to overthink that play. That's right. Quick passes. Get him in a rhythm. Don't let him sit back. He is horrible in the pocket. Get over yourselves. He's horrible in the pocket. Holds the ball too long, takes sacks. That's what happened this year. 38 of them. 15 ball games. He's 5th in the league in taking sacks. And he missed 3 games. He would have ended up right there around 6, not 60, because I think that's what Caleb Williams took. But let's see, 15 added on to 38. We're talking about 50 some odd sacks he would have took this year. Guy's terrible. Holds the ball too long, more than any quarterback pretty much in the league, and he takes a shitload of sacks. Okay? Shitload of sacks. And had an awful passing year. So, Bob, quick passes, absolutely. Yes. Okay? Absolutely. Hey, 2903 and 18. We'll see what that plays out to be. If that's a real number or not a number or a nothing burger. Of all the quarterbacks in the postseason, Jalen Hurts is nowhere in the top 10, top 15. In quarterbacking, in touchdowns, passing, taking sacks. He's in the top 5. We'll see how this plays out. Very interesting how this is going to go down here. Seals, do we press Love's elbow into the dirt a little harder in these piles? I think they're going to try to avoid as much contact as possible with him. Okay? That's why he's not going to get out and run. Now, my question would be this. Well, Eagle, let me turn around and ask you this. If Jalen Hurts is starting to come through the pile, I'm going to tell my football team and my defensive team, put as many hats as you can on that guy. Hit that guy as hard as you can. I don't give a shit what it is. Let's test it out there. Let's see he's fully healthy out of his concussion. Hit that fucker. Gang tackle him. Put him on his back. Same with Love. If you're Vic Fangio, hey, put as many hats as you can on him. Hit that elbow. Hit them arms. Hit that back. Do everything you can. Gang tackle. Eagles have done a great, when you have a really good tackling football team, count the number of hats that are Eagle hats versus the opposing team's hats. That's how you know you got a good, aggressive football team. Okay? Eagles win this week. Lose next week to Tampa Bay or Minnesota. I don't know about Minnesota, man. I'll talk more about that here in a minute. So I think this will be a great chance for Jalen to get out and really get into an opportunity to get into a rhythm in this game. Where some of your elite quarterbacks you rank better than Hurts. Get this. This is a stupid take again. Jalen Hurts is on the best roster in football. It's a poor comment. A lot of the great quarterbacks in today's NFL aren't on great rosters. They're just not. Joe Burrow's a great case of it. Jalen Hurts he's a benefactor of being on a great roster that the organization's built. Plain and simple. Here, I'll make a point to you. Josh Allen. If Josh Allen's not on that Buffalo team, they're a 5-win team. If Jalen Hurts is not on that Eagle team, we saw what they've done the last 2 weeks. They're a 9-10 win team. Easy. Well, Sills honor Twiz's bet. Xander, get the man a Hurts jersey next week. Let's get the season finished first. Okay? One of the absolute off seasons and postseasons. This is going to come down. Okay? This is going to come down to Jalen Hurts, and he'll be defined in this postseason. He'll be defined by it. Right now, he's 2-3 heading into the playoffs. He's made a Super Bowl, no doubt about it. Okay? Jalen Hurts gets bounced, he's 2-4. Then you start to make the comments of this. Well, it's a one-year wonder. He's not gotten better. If Jalen Hurts goes on and wins 4 games in a row, then you start the narrative of saying 2 NFC championships, a Super Bowl, the winning record, he validates it. That's what's on the line. There's no gray area here. If he fails enormously. If he wins. All the side stuff that I've even said goes away. All of it. That's why I told you this week. I'll say it again. Jalen Hurts wins the Super Bowl. All the things that I said are wrong. Jalen Hurts gets bounced in the playoffs with that roster. Everything I said about him is right. I'm willing to do that. Here we go. I don't think he can just play. I've heard Xander say it, and he said it like he does on 3:30 every day. By the way, we have him here. Philly 500 will join us at 5:30. And 4:30, 5:30, the Philly Godfather will join us, and we'll get his opinion. Facts. Hey, by the way, Eagle talk, baby. Don't you want it that way? Don't you want it that way? He's either going to put up or shut up. I will. Because then, get this. Then it's like the Skip Bayless stuff for me. I can't go on the air and go like this. LeBron James doesn't have the clutch gene. That's that old Skip Bayless bullshit. He's overrated, LeBron. No, he's not. LeBron's gone to 3 different cities, won NBA Finals in 3 different cities. He's won he's won 4 NBA championships. He's the all-time leading scorer. You could take Jordan if you want, and I do too. However, to sit there and say that LeBron James is not the greatest player in the history of the sport, maybe the greatest athlete in the history of the sport, is obnoxious. He's the only guy that could play all 5 positions and be an all-star in all 5 positions. Jordan can't play center, power forward. LeBron can. I get it, Flex, and I'm a Michael Jordan guy too. I'm a Michael Jordan guy too. But here, this is what people don't like about me. Everything that I said about him is either going to be true or not. There's no excuses. We said this in September. Excuses are over with. They're over with. Because then it's going to be a wasted roster on a marginal quarterback. Or Jalen Hurts was the perfect fit for what they built this team around. No other way to look at it. You see, you got to remember something about the NFL. Most people in life like to be gauged and graded on a bell curve. Well, maybe this, maybe that, kind of this, kind of that. In the NFL, there's no bell curve. There's no excuses. Refs, field, none excuses. Rust. I guarantee you'll see the excuses come out if this thing looks terrible on Sunday. Am I expecting it? Nope, I am not. Here, let's get to Nick Sirianni, what he said. Hey, man, I wonder how nervous you are. I'm excited to see what happens. Hey, Sills, do you think if the Eagles beat the Packers, you could see the Eagles on the road to Detroit? I think you got to look at the matchups on who they get in the next round. If it's Tampa, that's going to be a tough one, but it's going to be at least at Lincoln Financial. Okay? Sills acts like it's easy to win a Super Bowl. There's an excuse. Jeez. It's January 10th. He's got an excuse already for failure. It's not that easy to win Super Bowls. That's why you're 1-3 with that attitude. Most talented roster in the playoffs. He's in Philadelphia for the second time in 3 years. Are you going to finish the job this time? Yes or no? So you're telling me you're going to win how many games? 14, 11-6, 25-9, and then 14-3. You're going to go 39-12, and if you don't win a Super Bowl, you're cool with that? Not thinking if you had a better player at the quarterback position? We'll see, man. Sills is wrong. Sills is wrong. Been wrong all season. So he's desperate and now puts Super Bowl or bust. Get this. Look at this guy. Sills is wrong all year. Not really. And I'm desperate. So now he's put Super Bowl or bust on one player. If a 53-man team, ridiculous, 9 wins, top 20 defense, crow. No. How about this? Wait a minute here, Arthur. Let's do this. So it's not Super Bowl or bust for you? Really? This guy doesn't think it's Super Bowl or bust with all that talent on the team. He's going to put it on one player. Why? You put it on Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. You're a Hurts apologist. As my boy Pumper would say, you're a Jalenite. You're a Jalenite. I don't give a fuck about Jalen Hurts. I care about winning. I don't care what the name on the back of the jersey is. Doesn't matter. It's all about winning. Whatever that looks like. on one player. Lamar Jackson takes it. Josh Allen takes it. Joe Burrow takes it. It's all on them too. Lane not getting first team All-Pro. I said, bro, yeah, I never thought he was ever either. He was never going to be the first team All-Pro right tackle. Not going to happen. You got people in here telling me you're out of your mind. Okay. Okay. Marcus goes, yes, you do, because you talk about Hurts every day. In every single city in America, they talk about the starting quarterback every single day. In Buffalo, about Josh Allen. The quarterback situation in Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Los Angeles with both Herbert and Stafford. Get over yourself. It's why you pay the most. If you pay the most, you get the most paid attention to you. Deal with it, kid. We don't talk about just the Elliott kicker kid. We talk about your quarterback. Let me ask you this. I mean, you guys gave a ton of shit to Donovan McNabb. Did you not? Did you not give a ton of shit to Donovan McNabb when he was here? Did you not give a ton of shit to Donovan? Okay. Did you not? Okay. Couldn't win a big one. Started getting that label. John Elway had that label for a while, that he couldn't win the big one. Eagle fans trashed Donovan McNabb. Trashed him. This guy gets a hall pass for every. Can you imagine it? Hey, let me ask you guys something real quick here. Even the ultimate Jalen Hurts fans, if Donovan McNabb had thrown for 2,900 yards and 18 touchdowns one year, what would you have done and said about him? Did McNabb ever do that in one of those playoff run years? Let me take a look at that. Donovan McNabb. Let's see if McNabb ever did that in his career during those playoff years that he went to NFC title games. So there's those 11-5, 12-4, 13-2 teams. Let's see. He got hurt. He missed 10 games, or he missed 6 games. So he went for 2,289 in 10 games. Still threw 17 touchdowns. Check this out. This is even crazier, great. So McNabb in 2002 threw for 17 touchdowns. Hurts threw for 18. This guy did it in 10 games. Okay. So no, during that time, they went 13-2. He threw for 38, 75, and 31 touchdowns in 04, the Super Bowl year. The Super Bowl year, a different league then, too. Only 469 attempts, 300 completions, and he went 13-2 in that 04 season. In the 11-5 years, 21 touchdowns, 25 touchdowns. They had Westbrook on that team, too. McNabb was a good football player. I couldn't take him that much, and this guy was throwing to like FedEx and a bunch of bums at the wide receiver position, besides Deshaun Jackson. Nothing like he's got. Can you imagine Donovan McNabb with this offense? Lane should have been first team. Numbers prove it. Absolutely not. You can't do that when you have the number 2 passing attack and the number 3 rushing attack in the NFL in the offensive line, and not have Penei Sewell on there protecting both the run game and the pass game. Lane Johnson didn't make first team All-Pro because your passing game stunk. And you didn't go for 2105. There's 2 reasons why there's no first team All-Pro Eagles on the O-line. Your passing game stunk, and you didn't go for 2105. That's my opinion, that you didn't go for the 2105. I think if you went with the 2105, there's probably 2 guys on it. It would have compensated for the horrible passing game this year. Okay? So let's take a look at and comment on what Nick said today. Okay? So, I mean, and I want to double check that to make sure what I'm saying about Panay. Here are the numbers this year and the trends of what the Lions did and why Panay Sewell was first team. Lions had the number 2 overall total offense. The Eagles were 8th. And passing offense, the Lions were 2nd. Rushing offense, the Lions were 6th. Scoring offense, the Lions were 1st. That's why Panay Sewell made the first team All-Pro team. That's why. So Nick met a little bit with the media today. Xander's going to join us at the bottom of the hour here. Not going for the record. I do think that's something. I do think, Charlie. I do. Still isn't saying anything different than what the players are saying. It's Super Bowl or bust. Agreed. Thank you for the super chat, my friend. Not going for the record was a huge mistake, and it pissed me off, but it's done. Okay. I'm just saying the casualty of that is not having a first-team All-Pro. I mean, it would have been one thing if your passing offense was in the top 10 and your rush defense was number 1. You probably would have had 2 guys on there. But because you had such a poor passing season this year, you were one-dimensional. And you don't put an offensive line on first-team All-Pro when you're one-dimensional. Again, that's not an opinion. That's just what you are. You're a one-dimensional football team. But hey, you're 14-3. My commentary is on the line for this week and for the playoffs. I'm comfortable with that. I'm comfortable. Hey, Nick, don't complain to me. Complain to the 50 riders that picked Panay Sewell. I agree with them. You have a one-dimensional offense. How many times do you pass protect for 14 times when Jalen Hurts drops back for 14 attempts versus a guy who drops back 50 times a game? It's a completely different skill set in Detroit in what they do and what their O-line's asked to do. I mean, it's a completely different thing. And by the way, for the record, they were 15-2. They had the best record. They have a top-flight offense and a top-flight run offense. And they were number 1 in scoring and had the best record in the game. What's not to like about Panay Sewell at right tackle? Anywhere did you see that guy didn't deserve it? And he's in the best division in football, the NFC North. By the way, hey, and as I've said, the difference between Panay Sewell and Lane Johnson, you guys are all getting butthurt over it, is this thin. It's this thin. It's nothing to cry about. How about this? Is Lane Johnson the second best offensive tackle in the league? Yeah. Could you argue he's the best? Yeah. Like, again, this is you want him? Great. I'll take the other guy. You want him? Great. I'll take the other guy. Okay. Get your butt hurt. When you win like they did, you get rewarded. When you do things like Detroit did, you get rewarded. When you lose to Washington, you don't get rewarded. And you had a 14-3 season. Let me ask you this. Before we get to Nick, who do you think has played better football the last 2 weeks of the season? The Eagles or the Lions? Heading into the playoffs, Who do you think is playing better football? Who's playing better? You want to see homers? There's Spike, Eagles. How do you know you're playing better football with backups at quarterback? And one game was for the NFC home field advantage. You know what you were playing for? Nothing. Nothing. Who's playing better football heading into the postseason? Eagles or Lions? That's why I would say Sunday, slow starts is something that is a real thing. That's a real thing. I've told you flat out, there's no way I see the Packers winning this. I got 34-23. Isn't that a comfortable win? I mean, I don't see it. I just don't. But again, 2 injured quarterbacks heading into this thing. Philly 500 is going to join us. He will join us at 4:30. Okay? Then we will have the legendary Philly Godfather. He will join us at 5:30 Eastern time. I'm telling you, man, this game's going to tell us a lot how they're going to look for the remainder of the postseason. This is also going to tell us a little bit, especially in the first half. Okay? Especially in the first half of this game. It's going to tell us a lot. I don't think you can get to a slow start in this ball game. I actually think the Packer defense has picked it up the last month and has played better football. Hit that like button. Hey, man, it's Football Friday. We are just hours now away from really playoff football starting on Saturday. Then on Sunday, I believe if I'm not mistaken, Eagles are the 4:30 game on Sunday. On Fox, Brady's on the call. You got yourself some really great football games, too. LA Chargers versus the Houston Texans. That's a 4:30 CBS game on Saturday. Pittsburgh at Baltimore. It's a Prime Video 8 p.m. game. Denver at Buffalo, 1 p.m. CBS. Washington, Tampa, the NBC Sunday night game. And they moved that Rams game out of SoFi to Glendale in Arizona. That'll be a Monday night game for ESPN. Minnesota at Los Angeles. Man, if you're the Rams, that sucks, man. No home field advantage. 2 teams on the road, neutral site. If you're the Rams, that blows. Not that they have a great fan base, but I don't get to sleep in my bed. Not good. So they've moved that thing to Monday Night Football. All right. Unbelievable. College football playoffs were great last night. The NFL playoffs are right around the corner, hours away from us. Such a great week we had here at JAKIB. Don't forget our Sunday pregame, the halftime show, the post game, all of it this weekend. It's going to be a great weekend for football. The co-host of Birds 365 is our friend Xander Krause, and here he is right now. Big Z, Xander Krause. How you doing, bro?
What's going on, Big Sills? How you doing, brother?
All jacked up?
Yeah, man. Big Football Friday today. I'm ready for this playoff game, man. Enough talk. I'm done with the talk. I will say a little. The AJ Brown injuries lingering. I think that's an interesting thing, And John said he was a little worried about it. And I think the thing I thought was important that John said that is John was the first one to tell me that Monday after Jalen sustained his concussion, don't worry about Jalen. Jalen's okay. I saw him. He'll be good for the playoffs. He was right. And then he says, I'm a little nervous. This AJ Brown injury is a little bit concerning. And John even went as far as to say, this is now a 100% a running game. We'll see if that's how it pans out. AJ spoke today, said he is a little bit banged up. He said, interesting quote. He said, everybody's banged up this time of the year. I'm just a little bit more banged up than others. I don't know how much of an impact it'll have on the game, but I'm ready to go, baby. I'm ready to go, Big Sills.
I also heard Devontae's banged up.
Yeah, Devontae was out today of practice as well. So we'll see what the update is on him. But, yeah, both receivers a little bit banged up after not playing last week. Both were on the sideline. I thought it was a little interesting, but that's where we are. We are late in the year, man. This is, going into week 19 now of the NFL. So definitely going to have some people with some injuries, but you obviously don't want it to happen to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith.
I'll make my point one more time, and I'm going to hang on this one here. I'm sorry. The style of play this year has taken its toll on those players this year because of the amount of carries that the team has done since week 5. Right. I made the comment earlier in the show when I said this. Do you realize after week 5 and the first game, Jalen had 34 passing attempts. He had never attempted more than 34 passes the entire time the rest of the season out from week 5. They took the ball out of his hands, and they ended up winning 10 consecutive football games. And to me, when you've got players like that blocking in the run game, Xander, I show people this all the time, and I do this.
Yeah.
As many times as you keep hitting that nail, eventually the nail head's going to fall off.
Yeah, and you're right about that.
You're going to get banged up, and it's going to be the war of attrition that's going to take its toll. And I think it's taken some of its toll on them.
Well, look, you've already been proven right. There's no debate on this. You're right. The receivers missed more time this year than they've missed any other year. A.J. Brown missed more games this year than he has. I don't know about ever in his career. I don't know. I'd have to go back to his Titans days, but definitely the most time he's missed as an Eagle. Same with Devontae Smith. Dallas Goedert is good to miss a couple of games every single year. Doesn't matter how you play. But you're right. There's no doubt about it. Now, I don't care about that anymore, though, Sills, because it's put up or shut up now, right? Like this is it. It's do or die. So you're going to be a little banged up. I guess that's a talking point earlier. But going into this game, if you're healthy, if you're ready to go, if you're healthy enough to be on the field, you got to go out and give it your all. And I think the team's ready to do that, but should be a good test this weekend.
I think the storyline, or one of the main storylines, is both quarterbacks are going in with injury concerns and storylines that are going in. How much are you going to run in a style of play with Hurts coming out of concussion, banging him up there in the middle there, running the football? And then you've got, of course, Love. And see, I'm not as concerned about Love as I am more about Hurts, and I'll tell you why. Love's not a guy who's looking to gain yards and gain 100 yards rushing or 50, 60 yards rushing. That's not his game. He's more about getting out of the perimeter and managing half the field and throwing the ball to half the field and looking for passing lanes. Hurts is looking for running lanes when he gets out in the open. Now, I thought Phil Simms a couple of years ago made a great point about dual threat guys who get out in the open. You have more control over you getting hit. This leads me to say, obviously, when Jalen Hurts ended up getting hit, that's on him a bit, man. You know where you're getting hit. You got to get down. If I'm Jalen Hurts and I'm Nick Sirianni and Kellen Moore, I'm telling him, live to play another play. Don't go crazy in this ball game. Get down. We need you in the fourth quarter, not in the 4th minute of the football game. You know what? Punting is a good thing. That was one of the great things about Brady in his career. Brady wasn't afraid of punting. He knew field position and punting and special teams were going to win him Super Bowls. He won 6 of them doing that.
Yeah, who else right now resembles that in the NFL?
Kansas City.
Yep, bang, perfect. That's why they went out and got Matt Araiza, whatever his name is, one of the best punters. Field position matters, and that team's not afraid to punt either. You're right. It's a good point by you, and we'll see how it all plays out this weekend. Sills, it's one of those things, you know what I mean, where you get to the point and you reach the football Friday. I did a 4-hour edition of Birds 365 this morning. We've given away 10 items. The people are jacked up in JAKIB Nation. Big Z's jacked up. Big Sills is even a little jacked up. I'm ready to play some fucking football. Enough talk, enough debate. Jordan Love this, Jalen Hurts this. AJ, let's go play 60. Let's go play 60 with the Packers. I'm ready for it.
Holy cow. Holy cow. Can I stop the press for a second?
Sure, go for it.
Hey, Sills, I believe we're ready to sign off on this deal. Dan Sileo.
Wow, nice.
We're ready to sign off on this deal. Once I have the contract back, my national director of sales will send it over. Welcome back to the show, John Morgan.
Nice.
I'm going to send this to your pop right now, and I want him to forward it to you. Tell him to stop fucking hollering at me. Hold on here for a minute.
Yeah, welcome to my world, my dude.
Hold on for a minute.
Once a year.
Hey, hold on for a minute. I want Joe Kraus to text me when he gets. That is fantastic news about Morgan & Morgan coming back. Joe, you did it, Junior. Congratulations to you, man.
Sounds like his phone call worked.
I'm only hoping.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic news. Xander, let me send it to you too. I want you to see it because I'm really excited about having John. John's going to be on the show possibly next week as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well done.
He's a big nil guy. He's a big nil guy.
KCA Eagle. Whoa, more money for giveaways. You're not even a member. You're
Holy
not even a
cow.
member. You're not even in the giveaway.
They're looking at his jerseys. That's how they do it.
Yeah,
Holy cow. Xander, check your email right now.
65, man. I was tossing out giveaways like freaking candy today, man. We had 10 this week. So you know what my Saturday will consist of, big sales tomorrow. I'll be over at UPS freaking dealing with sending out all these packages to the great people of JAKIB Nation. Don't worry. I'm happy to do it for you all. I love everybody. I just got to get all the addresses and everything. And
tell me I read that right. We're going to get back on this here because I'm going to ask Andrew about the All-Pro team here in a second here. But I just sent that here to Xander about Morgan & Morgan coming aboard the program. So now they're going to be a proud sponsor along with BetUS. Look at that there, bro. And by the way, BetUS.
I didn't get it yet, though. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Big Sills isn't very tech savvy, guys. Like,
no,
yeah, I can make something happen.
That's why when people keep going like this to me, they go, "He's got 18 per."
Yes, the people who say Sileo's burners. I'm like, bro, Sileo barely knows how to respond to my text. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Burner.
All right. Hey, Xander, what you making the All-Pro team, dude?
Pretty impressive, I thought. I think you're right where it's like, how do you not have an Eagles offensive lineman on the first team? But all in all, look, I don't want to be the guy who cries all the time. I'm pretty happy. 6 All-Pros. That's a lot of All-Pros. I think that shows you this is a special team and it's a good collection of talent, man. This is a good roster. I think it's a feather in Howie Roseman's cap. I think it's a credit to him. And how about Zack Baun, dude? Seriously, think about this for again.
Got the most
I can't get over this story. We signed the guy as a depth piece, as a special teamer, as maybe a guy who could rotate in as your 4th or 5th edge rusher, maybe could play off-ball linebacker. And he's become a pro. He's next to Roquan Smith and Fred Warner on the list. Those are the 2 best linebackers in football. It's unbelievable what Zack Baun has been for this football team. And I don't know enough about Vic Fangio's long 40-year career to make this statement, but I would make a bet that the story of Zack Baun could be one of Vic Fangio's best player stories in his career. Like I said, I don't know all Vic Fangio's 40 years. I'm sure he's, developed many of players in his career, but to take a guy like that who got signed to basically a minimum contract and turn him into a Fred Warner level linebacker?
Yeah.
I mean, I would have told you were batshit insane if you told me before the season that would be how this went. And now it's official, By the way, the other part of that though is, what is he about to get paid?
Oh, that's my next question to you.
I mean, not just Pro Bowl sales,
salary.
Not just Pro Bowl. Shit, not even second team, dog. We're talking first team
most votes.
First team All-Pro is unbelievable.
Hey, first team most votes, and you're sitting next, dude. And you're sitting next to, guess what? Fred Warner and Roquan Smith.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Amazing. What did you agree with me? What I said? I'd give him somewhere in that room where Patrick Queen, that kind of money. That's what I would do, is do something in that room. By the way, I see a smile on your Junior face over there now. Did you get that email I sent you?
I see it. I didn't read it yet. Give me a second.
Come on, man. This is big news, man. It's one of the biggest law firms in the country, dog. How you doing? National Football Show. How you doing?
Oh, that's great. You 100% read this right, by the way.
Good.
That's fantastic. Well done,
Get
Sileo.
that right, but I can't get my supers right.
That's true. The supers have been showing love too, man. Appreciate everybody. And KCA, thanks for becoming a member, brother.
By the way, man, that guy spends more money than anybody in the country.
I know. That dude's a beast.
Yeah, so we're really
He's all
proud
over
of-
Philly, dude. I drive on 95, get on 76. Morgan signs everywhere. Morgan and Pond are the two ones. They're everywhere, man. They're freaking everywhere in the city.
So now I'm going to buy after the program. I can't wait. Morgan. I've known John Morgan. John Morgan could buy the Eagles. He's worth $4 billion.
Yeah, I believe that, dude. He's got law firms freaking all over the place. And you know lawyers, man. They're breaded up, man. They make money.
Let me ask you this. Do you think the 2105 stopped the Eagles from not having more than – I said to you prior to the program, I think if the Eagles had gotten 2105, I think because the Eagles didn't have a very good passing year this year and they didn't go for the record, I think that kept two dudes off the all-pro first team. Now, look, second team is nothing to shit on. No one's shitting on that. I'm not crapping on that at all, okay? I'm not. I'm saying first team is the distinction of the best players in the game, albeit it's those same 50 voters that vote for the MVP, the AP guys. I get it. I understand. Penei Sewell. I think the reason why Penei Sewell, in my opinion, got it, Xander, they're top 5 in passing. They're top 5 in rushing. They're number 1 in scoring. They had the best record, and they have home field.
Yeah.
And that's why I said this. The difference between Lane and Penei is paper thin. I mean, Don't get butthurt over
Lane
it.
had much better stats, but I guess stats don't tell the whole story, which I understand. But did you see what they're doing outside Lane Johnson's locker? They're kind of trolling right now.
Yeah, did you see that Lane, according to Jeff McClain, was kind of miffed?
He was pissed. Well, that's what's up. I don't know if it was Lane that put it up. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick on the show. Somebody tagged me in it today. I love when the people tag me on
He's
stuff.
a great player, though, man. I mean, come on.
Who? Penei? Yeah, I'm not mad at that.
Yeah, but wait, Lane I'm talking to.
Yeah.
Great. Come on,
So somebody put this up. Here it is. I got it. Give me a sec. So somebody hung this outside of Lane Johnson's locker today after he was announced as the second team all-pro player. And here it is. So you can see it. I'll zoom in down here. This is his locker, and this is what they hung. And you can see it says, I'll read it out. All-pro comparison. Lane Johnson's on the left here, and Penei's on the right. Sacks allowed. Lane Johnson 0, Penei Sewell 1. QB hits allowed 1, Penei Sewell 5. QB hurries allowed. Lane Johnson 9, Penei Sewell 22. Pressures allowed 10, Penei Sewell 28. Pass block win rate 94% for Lane, 91% for Penei Sewell. Island rate 75% for Lane, first in the NFL, 55% for Sewell, 58th in the NFL. QB time to throw 3.13 seconds, 2.79 for Sewell. Run block win rate 80% for Lane, not ranked for Sewell. And team rushing yards 3,048 for the Eagles and 2,488 for Penei Sewell's Lions. So very clear who was the better player this year.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Those numbers don't speak that.
They don't, but I do think Lane's better. I'm sorry. I know. Look,
they had 539.
That Sewell's not a great player, but
Golf threw the ball 540 times this year. Hurts threw the ball 360 times. So you're going to get by far more opportunities at being sacked, and you're going to get more opportunities at having pressure because you throw the ball more. I mean, if you throw the ball 3-1, don't you think the numbers are going to be skewed to the guy who doesn't pass as much and passes 14 times a game versus a guy who passes the ball 50 times a game?
Yeah, I get it. Let me ask you a question. You got one game to win. You can build your roster from scratch. You're taking one right tackle in the NFL to win one football game this postseason. You taking Penei Sewell or are you taking Lane Johnson?
I'm taking Penei, and I'll tell you why. He passed Brock's better because he's in an offense that throws the ball almost 600 times a game. You throw the ball 350 times a game. I mean, you don't do things that they do in Detroit. I mean,
I think I'd take Lane.
Okay. I mean, But
It's
dude,
one
that
of those
guy
things,
does-
though. I'm not
that
mad.
guy-
You take one, I'll take the other.
Yeah, that's probably the
Yeah,
better
it's
answer.
not. I'm not mad at
Hey,
you for taking
That,
Sileo.
by the
I
way,
mean,
you know what? That's probably the better answer.
yeah, I'm not mad at you for
Okay,
taking.
I mean that's probably the better answer because then it makes it sound like Lane's nowhere near that.
If they're that comparable, then I'm an Eagle fan. I'm going to pick the fucking Eagle. I mean, come on, Lane Johnson, I think is a Hall of Fame player.
Look at this guy. This guy says I'm full of shit that if somebody throws the ball 600 times a game versus a guy who throws the ball 300 times a game, 2-1, you're trying to tell me that's full of shit.
There's definitely a difference in those stats. There's no doubt. There's no doubt.
I mean, come on.
I didn't say career. This guy said
I didn't know. I said this year.
One game, Philly, Dave.
Yeah, but hey, for a career, there's no doubt I'm taking Lane. I'm not. That's not happening. I mean, Lane will go down as one of the greatest right tackles.
If you listened to what Sileo said, Deshae, you would understand why he said that. Deshae says, how does he block better? And he's giving up more pressures and sacks. Sills, you're an effing moron. Brother, he just explained it to you very clearly. If there are 600 attempts, there's going to be
2-1.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. Come on, brother. Deshae, I love you, brother. Come on.
It's 2-1. I mean,
I'll take Lane, though. I'll take Lane.
I got it. By the way, watch this. Okay, here.
Yeah.
Hey, Xander.
Again.
Say it again. Say you take Lane. Okay.
I'm Lane. Okay, great. Yeah, I'll pick Sileo. I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
Okay. How about this? Exactly what I thought would happen in the Pro Bowl voting when it came to the D tackles. Cam Hayward and Chris Jones. You got a problem with that, not having Jalen Carter on that?
No, I don't. Chris Jones is an unbelievable player. And Cam Hayward, I mean, to be honest, I didn't watch him enough to make the declarative statement that I think Jalen Carter was better than him, but he was good enough and he's got enough reputation in the league to get the first team. I mean, look, there is some politics that goes into this. Let's call a spade. And I don't have an issue with that. That's part of it. That's part of relationships. That's part of being a veteran player. Jalen Carter's a second-year guy, second-year guy. So it's cool. I'm not upset with it. Actually, I was pretty happy to see Carter get the second team. I thought that was appropriate. Yeah.
I think he'll make first team. I still can't get over looking at Zack Baun's name.
I know it's crazy, dude. I'm telling you, I was dumbfounded.
I can't get over. What do you make of Lamar making the first team over Allen?
Didn't like it.
You think there's a shot he makes the he wins the MVP again?
I guess so. I mean, if he got first team All Pro, John McMullen won't tell me who he voted for. I think he has a vote. He says he's going to tell me after it comes out. But Josh Allen is my MVP for very obvious reasons. He has taken his team. He has lifted them to a top 3, top 4 NFL team with probably a bottom 15, bottom 12 roster-ish, somewhere in there. Josh Allen is my MVP. I'm not the arbiter of who chooses it, so I'm not the arbiter of truth when it comes to picking it. And I think Lamar will that be Lamar's third MVP?
Third, before he's 30.
Yeah, but then you get into the territory of, like, if I was a Ravens fan, like, let's just say for a second the Ravens get bounced this year, I'd be like, good, Lamar, congrats on your third fucking MVP, dude. Can we win a fucking Super Bowl? You know what I mean? Like, you're going to have an Aaron Rodgers career. Great. You might win one bowl in 20 years, and you should be way better than that.
Okay.
Give me Patrick Mahomes, who's got, I don't know how many MVPs. He's probably got a lot of MVPs too, but, he's got the Super Bowls. Give me the hardware. Give me the real hardware.
Well, I want you to do me a favor then. If Jalen Hurts doesn't deliver a Super Bowl this year, I want you to have that same energy you have right there when you have a guy with 2 14-win seasons in 3 years, and he's in his 5th year going into his 6th, and he hasn't won a Super Bowl with this roster. Okay, I'll tell you what, winning an MVP, I get it. You're not wrong. Hey, dude, that's really great regular season bullshit. And his is just differently placed, Jalen's. Dude, you're right. If you want to start, listen, it's one thing to talk about Hurts and Lamar with the greatest players of all time, okay? But dog, when you start making those comments and you start talking about the great players are gauged by their postseasons. They're not gauged by their regular seasons and all the MVP awards, because if that's the case, people would go, Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback than Brady. Fuck the postseason. I only look at the regular season. Aaron Rodgers has had by far greater touchdown to interception ratio years than Brady ever had.
Yeah,
Would you ever go like this, though, Xander? That guy's a better quarterback. Fuck the postseason. you're gauged on what you do in that section of your career more than you are in the regular season.
Yeah, I agree. Yep.
All of it, right? Oh, by the way, I think it's a testament to Jalen. He's graduated from just regular season. Now, dude, this is what I said. Now, hey, do you want to be compared to Donovan McNabb, or do you want to be compared to Tom Brady and Mahomes? Ask yourself that. Okay? I don't want to be compared to McNabb. You know what that means? That's the almost Hall of Fame. I want to be compared to the Hall of Fame of getting it done in the postseason. That includes Lamar. That includes Allen. That includes Burrow. All those guys have to deliver the mail.
Right.
That's why, do you agree with me? This postseason is going to define Jalen Hurts more than any year he's ever had.
Yeah, I think probably up to this point in his 4 or 5 year career, I think that statement will be true. I mean, look, if Jalen doesn't deliver enough this postseason, I think rightfully so, all of Philadelphia will ask their questions. You know, even some of the biggest Jalen fans in the chat, and I'm not mad at you for being a Jalen fan. I love my team too, and I understand why you rock with the quarterback. I got no issue with it. He took us to a Super Bowl. He's been a great player. He's been so much better than we expected when we drafted him in the second round. In fact, he gave us the easiest out from Carson Wentz in the world. Really, he did, because it's not easy to move on from a quarterback like we did. Not many other franchises, not many other QBs you could have drafted in that second round would have given you that off ramp. And so I love Jalen, and I'm a Jalen fan. I really am. But it's fair to say, look, with this roster, with 6 All-Pros, you know, with the 14-3 roster, the second 14-win season in 3 years, you got to make sure you deliver. And I don't think that's unfair. I don't think that's hate. I don't think that's anything negative. You want your player to deliver, because your player delivering means your team has the best chance of winning what we ultimately all want, and that's a parade on Broad Street. It's not unfair to say that. It's not unfair to want that. And I think Jalen will deliver it, but you're right. If he doesn't do it, I think it's even more fair to ask the question, you know, and people always comment to me, why does Sileo hate Jalen? I'm like, he doesn't hate Jalen. It's just not his style of quarterback. He's not going to change overnight and say, oh, all of a sudden I love Jalen Hurts. You know, for the people who check in here every day, Sileo still hates Jalen. I'm like, his feelings never changed. His feelings never changed. He just doesn't like the quarterback. It's not his style of play. It's not the quarterback he'd select. I don't have an issue with that. I don't know why other people do. It's amazing how much people care about that. Different people have different thoughts on football than them. I don't. It doesn't bother me at all. But I'm not with you. I like Jalen more than you like Jalen. I believe in him more than you believe in him. Doesn't mean I don't have any questions on him. Doesn't mean I don't have the expectation that you have, where he's got to deliver in crunch time. But look, he's a great player. He showed that he can perform when the lights are the brightest before. And I assume, and I fully anticipate that he will show up again and show that again.
Who are you most concerned about heading into this game?
I think it's Jalen Hurts, brother. Or no, not Jalen Hurts. Jake Elliott. Jake Elliott. That's what I meant to say. Sorry, I had Jalen Hurts in my head. I was reading a comment.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Jake Elliott. Well, just because I think when you get into the playoffs, man.
Yep.
Like every point matters. Literally every single point matters.
Yes.
And if you get into a situation where your coach has to alter what his philosophy would be because he doesn't trust a player that's responsible for putting points on the board, I think that's where you can have an issue. So if it comes back to bite us, I wouldn't be surprised, because that's when kickers are the most important and the most valuable. I mean, shit. Look at last night's game. How valuable is the guy who hit the kicker? I think I'm blanking on his name right now. He was like 50% in the regular season.
Yep.
You know, he comes down and hits a kick last night. You needed him to hit that kick, and he hit it. Boom. You win the game, and you're going on to the national title. And Penn State fans who are giving me shit all week long, be gone, Penn State fans.
Hey, I will never again, ever pick a James Franklin freaking football team. I am done with that guy, man. He cannot win a big game.
Hey, old grasshopper, you got to start listening to the young grasshopper.
I hate both those teams.
You don't pick James Franklin in big games, man.
I hate both those teams, but hey, man, all good. I mean, Michael Irvin texted me last night. He goes like this, you know, you and me hate both these teams. They cost both of us a national title. who you rooting for? I go, I get Penn State. He goes, get the F out. I go, yeah, I'm probably going Penn State. And he goes, you can't go. But I'll tell you, man, I really like Marcus Freeman. I really love that guy, man.
I freaking love Mark. He might be my favorite coach right now in all of football.
Yeah, man.
I love the way he is with his players.
Yep.
I love the way he talks to the media. I love when he wins a big game last night, right? And even before the game, he wins a big game in a big spot. Everybody's cheering. The lights are bright. The confetti's falling. You put the mic in front of that guy, it's like he's having a conversation off the record with you. He can talk. He's calm. He's cool. He's collected. He gives you well thought out answers. I freaking love the dude. I am so pumped for him. And I think it's even deeper. I know you're not a Notre Dame guy, obviously, because you're a Miami guy. Makes a lot of sense. But I think it's pretty cool what he's done for that franchise, man.
It is.
That is a historic, iconic franchise. Now, maybe this is the Catholic in me talking a little bit, but it's cool to watch what he's done. I think Brian Kelly ruined a lot of what made Notre Dame great. Complete wrong coach for that organization. He leaves there, and the quote he leaves going out is, I want to be in an organization that, will give me the resources I need to get to a national title. Meanwhile, Brian Kelly's fucking sitting on the couch while confetti's falling on Marcus Freeman's head. Awesome story, awesome coach, and I believe that he will be heading to much bigger things. I'm not, unless he's super happy at Notre Dame, which is a possibility. People love that. That's if he wants to be a college coach forever, he could stay there. But I could see him. He's
making $9 million. I mean, that's not
that's what I mean. He could be happy. He could not want to go to the NFL, but boy, I could see him. I could see him getting elevated to the NFL for sure.
How about this? You can't name a skilled offensive player that Brian Kelly ever produced out of Notre Dame in over 10 years that he was there with all those wins he had. I think now you're going to want to go and play for Marcus Hayes instead of going to Clemson, LSU, Alabama, or Georgia, or Ohio State. You're going to want to go to Notre Dame. If you can get in, you have decent grades, you're going to be able to get into that school now, and I think you're going to see better players go. That quarterback they have is very marginal. The kid they got from Duke, he's not great. Imagine if they had somebody in there, somebody even like a Cam Ward, or they had a Shador in there. Man, that team would win it easily. You're going to start getting guys like – let me tell you this. If you're in the Philly area, you're in the New Jersey, Pennsauken area, you're in the Western Pennsylvania, Ohio, South Florida, Texas, those are the bastions where you go get all your great high school football players. They're going to start gravitating to Notre Dame because of that guy. I think he's changed the landscape. I think Brian Kelly used to scream at his players. Do you know that the Nuns and the athletic director, the father, used to have to come down and tell him to stop swearing on the sidelines because of the behavior wasn't conducive to what Notre Dame standards were? How many times they reprimanded him, and why players didn't want to go to Notre Dame was because of his attitude. I don't even know how he got the hell on Notre Dame, but I mean, the best thing ever happened to Notre Dame. Who would have thought Marcus Freeman would be an upgrade from a guy who just signed a $100 million contract at LSU?
I'm a big fan. Also, you know what I didn't like, and I've never been a James Franklin guy. He's just, look, it's not even about Penn State for me. He's just not my cup of tea. Everybody's got a different cup of tea that they like. James Franklin is not like, if I were a good football player and were being recruited, I would never choose to go play for James Franklin. I don't like him. He comes off fake to me. He comes off corny, cheesy. Like, did you see him how he was in the media all week with Freeman? Like big bro, little bro, and look at this guy. How old are you? Look at your hairline. Like, I'm just like, bro, that never works out for people. Stop trying to make him your little bro. You're going up against him in the semifinal game. Fucking treat him like a man. Treat him like a damn man. And I think Freeman didn't like it. And I think he came out and beat him and said, fuck you, James Franklin. Get the hell out of here. And I'm happy he did it. I really am.
Go back to loser happy Valley. Go back to loser valley now. Go back to
don't say that in Philly. They might get more mad at you for that than they do about Jalen Hurts.
Okay, go back to loser valley there, man, when it comes to how Penn State there. By the way, greatest high school football. And let me tell you this, Big Sills got invited to the Big 33 game. So that's one of the coolest games that you can ever be invited to is Pennsylvania. Back then it was Pennsylvania versus New England. They kind of change it up. They go Pennsylvania, Ohio. They go Pennsylvania, New York. So the year I got invited to the Big 33 game. You ever hear of that?
That's impressive.
You know what the Big 30? Wow, you know what the Big 33 game is? That's good, man. Good for you, because that's one of the more Hall of Famers and all pros have been invited to that All-Star game that is put on every year.
Where do they play that game? Maryland?
They play it sometimes in Maryland. They'll play it at Franklin Field. They'll play
did they do it at Franklin Field?
They did in the past.
Wait, I thought, did they change the name?
Play it at, I think it's Hershey now.
Is it still called Big 33?
It was during my time. It was the Big 33. They may have changed.
Because there's another. What's the other big game that all the youngsters play in?
Oh, they playing that one down in Tampa.
Is it the McDonald's? Is that what I'm
No.
thinking?
That's the hoop one. The one they play for football.
McDonald's is the hoop one.
It's the one down in Tampa they play with the I can't remember. It's named after a clothing company. And it's not Nike and it's not Adidas. It's the other one. But the guy from Maryland that owns it, University of Maryland, he owns it. Under Armour. It's the Under Armour All-Star game where the kids announce where they're going. That's like the big one. But when I grew up, it was Big 33.
Yeah, that's
a big game back in
the
the
day. That's. Did you play in that game or were you just invited?
I didn't play in the game, but I had my invitation and I was supposed to play in it. And I couldn't play in it.
Play in that?
Well, one of the colleges told me not to. And I regret it every day not doing that. I just regretted not doing that, not playing in that game. Let me ask you about this game here. I brought this up, the difference between Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs. Now, obviously, I think Barkley's a better talent, but I'd say this. In this game Sunday, dude, there's just more star players around Saquon.
Way more. Yeah, not even close. Not even close. Dude, I told you, we had the Green Bay beat reporter on the Wednesday night show. He basically went as far as to say, we don't even have a wide receiver number 2 caliber player.
Wayne Larrivee said that too in our program.
Right. Now in Philly, we talk like John, he used to say, well, they don't have a wide receiver 1, but they have like a lot of guys that are good and can catch the ball.
Yeah,
that's
beat players
in Green Bay. This guy, I'm blanking on his name. It was Donahoe. Pete Donahoe, maybe his name was, I think it was. Covers the Packers out there. Has done it for a long time. He basically said, we don't even have a number 2 caliber level of receiver. And he compared it to AJ and Devontae. He said, AJ and Devontae, we are worlds apart from that level of talent at wide receiver on our football team. It is not even close who has more talent around them in this ball. And it's not even close. Green Bay is good team. They got some good players on the offensive line. Josh Jacobs is solid. They got some good players. Jaden Reed.
Deeper than Eagles.
I like Tucker Kraft. Yeah, I like Tucker Kraft. He's probably my favorite guy, but they don't have nearly as much talent as the Eagles. Not even close.
So that's where I say that, if you're going to load the box on Barkley and you're going to load the box on Barkley in this game, that slant's open all day long. And if Hurts gets into a rhythm with a 1-2-3, 1-2-3, that's what I would do with him. I would not put him in. If here's going to be a tragic mistake on a slow start in the first quarter. If they start throwing the ball from 7, and I mean 7 steps, and he has to hold that ball and he takes sacks and he gets a 3 and out, or they drive down the field, Xander, and they kick a field goal on the first or second possession, that's a win for Green Bay. That's a win.
I agree.
You've got to capitalize. You want Green Bay playing from behind. Now, I know what you say. Love looks like he's a superstar when he's from behind. But to me, I want to put that team behind. You know why? Because then I can bring out Barkley, run that rock. Look at what they did. What game was it that? Oh, it was Pittsburgh. He punted, never got the ball back. I mean, that's what you want to kind of do to Green Bay here because LaFleur is a really good play caller. Dude, and Love can beat you.
Did you give your score prediction yet? Or no?
What? I did.
Oh, what was your prediction? I missed it.
What did I say? Here it is. I said 34-23 Eagles.
Wow. Big win.
Yeah, I don't see it. I had
30-20.
I don't see where again.
Bro, even Sileo has us destroying them.
What?
Even Sileo has us destroying this team. All right, now I'm getting
lost 2 straight games.
Now I'm getting a little nervous.
Hold on, they lost 2 straight games heading into this thing.
We got Sileo predicting a blowout.
11 points, I guess so.
That can't be good. It can't be good.
I did. I got a guy going like this earlier in the show.
From
He's setting us up. He's setting us up. That's what he's doing. He's setting us up.
I picked 30-20. And last night I did, the Screwballs interview there at Screwballs. I did that by phone. And I said last night 30-17, but I felt like that was too low for the Packers. The Packers had 6 losses this year. The one was to the Bears last week. The 5 others were to the 3 top NFC teams. They didn't lose any of those games by more than 1 score, except for the one Detroit game they lost by 10, which was it wasn't really a blowout at all. The other game, they came way back on the Vikings, lost by like 2, lost to the Vikings again by 3 or 4, and then they lost to the Lions again by 2. It was like 31-29 or something. So the team is they keep every game close. They even in their games that they lost, they have not gotten blown out. So even my score, I feel like I'm going to be off on it, but that's all right. I'm confident.
Philly 500 will join us at the bottom of the hour.
I just
Who
heard
will be the guy that has to be the star, not named Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley?
You took mine. Shit. How about this one? How about Jalen Carter? You you wreck that game up the middle. You get Jordan Love off his spot, and you clog up that middle for Josh Jacobs. Ball game. Yeah. That's ball game. I'll go him number 1. And number 2, take your pick. It's got to be one of the 3 pass catchers. Somebody has to step up and make a big play down the field. I know I love Saquon too. I love the running game too. I love bullying teams too. You watched the game last night, right? And I was talking to my girlfriend, who's a big Penn State girl. And I'm talking to her. I'm like, you guys are dominating this team right now. All right. Penn State was dominating Notre Dame physically in that game in the first half.
Yes.
I said, if you want to win the game, though, you better get your quarterback going. He never got going, and it costed them the game late. He was terrible in the game. You got to improve. You got to have some level, a more than one dimension, especially in a playoff game. If you think you're just going to come out and run every drive and get ahead and never give up a lead just running the football game, it's not the right way to go about it. It's not, especially in the playoffs when margin for errors are smaller, when Green Bay will probably get some points on the board late, and they're going to keep fighting to the end. I think you got to get the passing game going. So number 2, I'll take A.J. Brown. Give me A.J. Brown at number 2. He's got to step up. He's got to make a big play down the field. He's got to open up the offense for the Eagles, and he's got to put some fear in the Green Bay defense's heart that we can throw the football. If you want to stack the box and stop the run, we are going to make you pay. If we don't do that, Green Bay's defensive plan becomes simple. Yeah. Very simple. Absolutely. Can't let them get to that.
Absolutely. By the way, you better tell your girlfriend, too. You want to know when you see shitty programs, they're not spending money at the quarterback position.
It's more her grandfather. Every time I'm with her grandfather's, he's one of those old Penn State guys. He grew up around Happy Valley. He's 80 years old, and he loves Penn State. He eats, sleeps, and breathes Penn State football.
You want to hear what Miami paid? I'm not going to tell you who told me. You want to hear what Miami paid today for Carson Beck? $1.5 million a year.
Bro, why?
Well, because he's better than well, dude.
Oh my God. Here's the Miami spin. Okay, go ahead. Give me it. You got Carson Beck. Congratulations. You think you're going to compete next year?
In the ACC? Yeah.
I freaking hate Carson Beck.
Wait, in the ACC?
That's the wrong word. I dislike him as a football player.
In the ACC? Yeah.
Yeah, the ACC's gotten weak.
It's terrible. Wait a minute. In the SEC? No. Okay. But then again, I could be Notre Dame and play Northern Illinois in Marshall and get away with it and play those shitty. Hey, dude, in the ACC, they play Wake Forest
your program. Call what's his name right now? Mario. You paid 1.5 for this stiff? Are you kidding me? There's not any other quarter. I would have offered the Nebraska kid who tries to be Patrick Mahomes $1.5 million to come on over. At least that guy can throw the rock.
Hey, you got 30 some odd wins.
He's on Georgia. Who's carried more? Who's carried more? Carson Beck at Georgia or Jalen Hurts on the Eagles? You tell me, Big Sills.
Oh, man. Dude.
Carson Beck.
Yeah. Hey, John Ruiz is the guy who's hold on. Hold on. Let me phrase this right.
Carson Beck.
John Ruiz is the money guy at Miami. Okay, with the nil stuff. So he's the guy paying for this thing.
How old is Carson Beck? D Money says, isn't he like 35? I don't know what he is. He's one of those.
Oh shit! What was Bo Nix? Holy shit! Bo Nix. What's Gabriel? What's Dylan Gabriel? Those guys are 30 also.
Beck's 23. That's not too bad.
No, he'll be 25 when he leaves. Holy shit. This guy's on a GI plan.
Oh, my God, bro. Man. Guy's going to be off his parents' insurance. He's going to be in the league.
Shit, man. This guy's on a GI bill.
You got to be kidding me. Abe, my guy, Abe. What's up, Abe? He says, my concern is CJ Gardner-Johnson over the year. He's given up touchdowns. He's been pretty good, though, of late.
Yeah, of late, especially I think the second half of the season, he's been a lot better to really good.
Mad Max, my guy, Mad Max. He checks in. I'm a Kane, but Carson Beck is definitely not going to do what Cam Moore did. Not even close, Mad Max. You better hope the whole organization gets better, the whole team gets better, because Carson Beck is not throwing the ball like Cam Moore did.
Who recruited Penei Sewell to Oregon?
Your guy.
You bet. Mario did. And you guess what? Who recruited Landon Dickerson? Mario Cristobal.
To Alabama? No, where was
he was the offensive line coach.
At Bama?
Yes.
But that was Dickerson only spent a year in Alabama.
Oh, he's an FSU guy. I forgot that.
He's an FSU guy.
I wonder who played with Mario when Mario was the O-line coach for.
I'd have to look. I knew Mario was at Bama
during your time.
I knew he was there at one point.
I hope
Brian
Pumper. I hope it wasn't that stiff that went to the Raiders. Leatherwood or whatever that guy's
Brian
name was.
Pumper says Hurts and rhythm don't match. Have you seen the guy dance? Did you hear the guy sing the fight song? Buddy is not him. Pumper, I don't give a shit with him.
Hey, Pumper. Hurts dances like a white dude, doesn't he? Hurts dances like a white dude.
I don't know what that means. I don't give a shit if Jalen Hurts can dance. What the fuck are we talking about here? What are we talking about? Man. Come on. Marchetti says, injury reports came out. Smitty and AJ good to go. They've always been good to go. It's just how banged up are they? That's the question.
Yeah, they're going to be injured in this game.
Eric Lucetta says, by the way, I would bet that Jalen Hurts could dance better than probably most of us. Definitely better than me. You talk about a white guy. I can't move when it comes to dancing.
Rick Sills can do it like this on the
floor. Oh, God. Oh, God.
Let's get it on.
Let's get it on. Eric Lucetta says, TJ Watt exposed PP Sewell.
And 600 attempts versus your guy 300. You know who threw 300 attempts? J.J. McCarthy at Michigan. Hey, get this. Hey, wait a minute. What's the guy's name at Army again? What's that guy? Bailey Zappi? What's the guy's
name? Carson Daly, is it?
Carson Daly. Yeah, the guy, yeah.
No, Bryson Daly. Bryson Daly.
Yeah, Bryson Daly and Jalen Hurts equal. Go ahead.
Bryson Daly.
Hey, wait a minute. Bryson Daly wins a lot.
Yeah, what was Sill's best song so far? Was it the Marvin Gaye "Let's Get It On" or was it the Grinch song? The Grinch song was iconic.
The Grinch song.
Dude, you gave like a whole minute and a half on one show. You started it off. You sang the whole freaking thing. I was not ready for it. It was hilarious. Marchetti says, just back tightness for Smitty. Smart to rest up. Marchetti, that's the most Marchetti comment I've ever read in my life. Marchetti believes that the world is raining sunshine and rainbows all day. Come on, Marchetti.
Hey, Marchetti, I know your philosophy now. You'll throw about 6 supers out there hoping one hits. So I get you're playing the law averages now, Paisan. So I get you, brother. I like your philosophy. Unlike AJ thing, that guy that posts 1 billion times for the algorithm, by the way, thank you. Nick, I like your work, man. You throw 6 supers out, praying one hits. You had one early right out of the top of the show. I like your philosophy, guy.
Did you read this yet? My guy, Philly Don. Sills isn't saying anything different than what the players are saying. It's Super Bowl or bust.
Yeah, we got guys in here now all of a sudden starting to get a little bit, that sphincter muscle starting to get a little tight. because it's Sunday coming around the corner, because Big Sills has put it out there. Hey, get this. I'm either going to be right or you're going to be right. And you know what Xander did to me yesterday? Of course, Xander did this. He goes, the odds are with Sileo here that they don't win. And I'm going like, oh, wait a minute, Xander. Look at Xander moving the needle now.
Everybody, wait, all of Sileo's haters, or all the people who don't agree with Sileo from a football perspective, I need you to very clearly understand what Sileo just said, okay? There is much bigger chance that we are wrong and Sileo becomes correct because he has set the bar at winning the Super Bowl. Only one team can win the Super Bowl. So Sileo has put himself on a side of the fence where no matter what happens,
right,
he will be positioned perfectly. Now, if we do win the bowl, boy, will it be fun to see the comments on your show. They'll be going all off season. You fucking dumbass, you clown, you hater, you this, you that. I would love to see it. I would love to see it.
Let me say this to you, okay? And I will promise you this, my friends. Back in the day, there was a thing called the Chernobyl meltdown that you guys had there in New Jersey when the reactor melted down. You lose the Super Bowl, you watch Sileo melt down like a nuclear power plant. You'll be like you think I'm unbearable now? You think I'm barely tolerable now? You wait until this goes down. I will annihilate people if this thing goes the way I think it's going.
I better re-up my jar of giveaways. Look, this thing's getting empty, Sills. We've given away everything.
Holy cow!
We got a couple things left, but I got to re-up this thing because the listeners are going to be going through agony this offseason dealing with your ass.
Oh, no question about it. Great stuff. Hey, Xander, man, I can't wait for this. We got another superhero with Brian. Hey, listen, I can't wait for the pre and post game show Sunday. I can't wait.
Are you kidding me? And so I love it. I hope we have 4 more. Woo! Pumper says, I got the Packers winning this weekend, fellas. 35-21. The most obvious Jalen Hurts stinker. Tanner would never. Andre Dillard revenge game. That is the worst take I've ever heard in my life.
But Brian, to your point, last year the Dallas Cowboys had the better roster than Green Bay, and they blew them out in their own building.
You're not suggesting that we're the Dallas Cowboys, are you? Wait a second. I'll go further. You're not suggesting that the city of Philadelphia and the home field advantage that we're going to have is anything like the losers down in Dallas in AT&T Stadium, are you?
No.
You're not suggesting that, are you, Big Sills? Okay, good.
I can't, Pumper. I can't lie either, man. That's that. No, I'll tell you what. You better not lose, because then you are with all the drama. Oh my God! Hey man, all the drama you had this year.
Please, Eagles, get me a win. Hey. Also, Philly is hoping for a win. He gets an extra bonus the deeper they go in this fucking thing.
No shit. Why in the world do I want this to end?
Yeah, right. If people think you don't want him to win, I'm like, believe me, I know Sileo. He wants him to win.
Yeah, right. I want him to win. My pay's indicative of it.
Yeah, right. Well, you're still getting fucking paid either way, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, you should have heard Xander.
More moolah for Big Sil.
Hey, Xander goes like this. The building tilts on Fridays.
It's tilting today. I'm lucky the lights are still. I'm lucky my camera's on. The lights are on. The internet's going. I don't know how, but it's going.
Got your dad hollering at me.
Yeah. All right, everybody.
All right, big guy. I'll see you Sunday, man, on the pregame show.
You got Big Philly 500 coming up?
Got Philly 500 coming up right around the corner. I'm going to take a timeout, and we're going to get to our friends at BetUS. Don't forget, Xander, great seeing you, buddy. I'll see you Sunday.
Thank you, Sills. Yo, everybody, enjoy the great weekend of football, and let's go get a fucking W on Sunday. All right, everybody? Let's fucking go.
I love it. We'll see you Sunday, brother. That is our friend, Xander Krause. Don't forget our great friends at BetUS. Dude, you got the other semifinal game tonight. You got Ohio State in Texas tonight. We have teamed up here with our friends at BetUS for you guys to understand the YouTube 150. That is the sign-in bonus up to $2K. Your second and third are 125%. And if you're into crypto, that is 200% there with the friends at BetUS. Go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. Fastest payouts in the business. 24/7 personalized service, 365 days of the year. Live wagering on all major games. betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. And do me a favor, tell them Big Sil sent you.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
We noticed that there was mold creeping into our basement about a year and a half ago, and wanted to make sure that we were getting rid of the problem permanently. We actually reached out to several different contractors to get it resolved, and actually 2 of them recommended DryTech to us as a long-term solution. Other than the noise factor, we wouldn't even know that there was work being done on the basement level. It's really been a clean process for us.
Score and save this football season on your car insurance. Before the next game, save up to 40% on your auto insurance policy. That's right, 40% savings. Call an audible this season and contact the Del Val Insurance Group. They're an advocate for you, not an insurance company. That means they'll get you the right coverage and save you up to 40%. Call managing partners Fran or Jim of Del Val Insurance, 215-354-0122, or score and save at dvigi.com. dvigi.com.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sil's National Football Show. What a day for the show here, man. What an absolute awesome day for the program and the growth of the program. Just talking with John Morgan. He's excited to be a part of the program. He bought the show. We're getting John on next week too. So Morgan & Morgan, once again, is going to be a proud sponsor of the program. And we're so looking forward to that, along with BetUS and all the people that are going to be coming back to the program. It looks like also too that we're getting Hooters back to the program. I got a great email from those guys in the middle of the week as well. So looking forward to it, man. And we can't thank our friends enough who make this show what it is. I got to tell you something, man. Philly 500 does not have to do, I have not spoken to him like this. Philly 500 doesn't have to do this, along with Mark too, Holmes. Those guys are kind of showing me how you build a show on a new platform. I'm a radio guy for 35 years. I didn't know dick about this shit. Okay? Philly 500's got like over 100,000 subscribers. It's insane. He don't have to do this. But he likes coming on here with us. And I can't thank him enough for spending time and taking time out of his day for him to do this. He doesn't have to do anything. And he does it because, again, our show, like we're getting Howard Eskin on, I think Monday or Tuesday. He couldn't do it today for, he had some reasons with WIP. So he's coming on either Monday or Tuesday to talk about that story and to give us his take. Angelo's coming on Monday. Philly sees what we're doing, and we appreciate it. Plus, he knows and has seen my reputation from the past, so we can't thank him enough. And I love his takes about the Eagles. This big game on Sunday. Is it rust versus rest? Both quarterbacks go into this game all banged up. Let's get our friend on, Philly 500. He joins us now here on the National Football Show. Are you getting excited, brother?
We are. It's not going to be rust. It's not going to be must. It's going to be lust. They are going to be lusting after us after we tear them up this weekend, Sills. We are tearing them up. I feel good about this game.
You're not worried about the injury or any of that? And now get this. How about this? How about we add this then? Are you worried about the fact that AJ and Hurts haven't worked the last 3 weeks working with reps, and they haven't been working together going into the playoffs?
I mean, you always worry about the playoffs because it's one and done, right? Like it's always game 7. So, if anything can happen. So you always got to keep that in mind. But I think the rust stuff is way over done. Like I figure if Hurts comes out and he's rusty, right? I mean, how long is that going to last? Like a quarter, a half a quarter? Oh, he didn't play all preseason, and he was rusty the first quarter of that game. But once he shook it off, they were fine. So I think we'll be fine. I don't think it's something that you go in the fourth quarter and Hurts is still rusty. I don't think that'll be a problem.
Okay, I'm going to go to a different area now. So Zack Baun got the most votes for the first team All-Pro, which stunned me. My case for you is this. Is he back? I mean, is he going to be back with the Eagles? Because his name now is being in the same light as Roquan Smith, Fred Warner. I'll make something and I'll tell you, both those guys make $20 million a year. Okay, do I think he's going to be in that room? No, because he doesn't have the resume those guys have. But when you get the most votes of any linebacker in the league knows who you are now. Is he back in Philly, yes or not?
I'm really 50-50 on this, but if I had to choose one, I'm going to say yes. The Eagles have showed that in the right circumstance with the right person, that they're willing to do things maybe they normally do not do. And I think the fact that Vic Fangio is there probably the next, 3-4 years, I think that makes it more likely that Baun would be back. However, I will say that I do worry about this because on one hand, I also think that the Eagles look at Baun and go, well, we'll find somebody else. Well, we found him, we can find somebody else. So that does worry me a little bit, but I just don't see how you can let this guy go. I think you're talking about a guy that's Defensive Player of the Year type numbers. So I don't see how you can let him go. But I do worry about it. I'm not gonna lie.
Who had the biggest impact on the Eagles this year, Saquon Barkley or Zack Baun?
Saquon Barkley.
Barkley.
I think Barkley. I do.
I don't think you win 14 games without Barkley.
No, I don't think so either. No, I think Barkley was the biggest impact. And I'll actually say this. I might put Jalen Carter over Baun. I know it's crazy, but I think Jalen Carter, even though he didn't have the sack numbers, and I think once he starts getting the respect around the league and he starts getting these holding calls, his sack numbers will shoot up. But I think he was pretty dominant every week.
I'll say this to you why he got second team All-Pro. When you're in the league and Cam Hayward and you got Chris Jones, the reputations with the 50 voters who vote for the MVP, they see those two guys. and they know who they are over an extended period of time.
Right.
I think he continues to put years together like he did. Because let's face it, last year, it was kind of a tale of two halves of a season. Right. This year, and Philly, 6.5 sacks from an interior guy, that's damn good, man. I mean, you rarely see guys with double-digit sacks. And, people are comparing everybody to Aaron Donald. Well, shit, man. That's one of the very few guys that can put double-digit sacks together from the internal, area of the team there. So to me, I look at that and go, I think he had a really great year. I agree with you. I think if you're going to look at and tell me who the MVP of the defense is, does Zack Baun have the year he has if Carter doesn't play the way he does this year?
I don't know. I mean, I think Carter. See, I agree. I don't think Carter has the name and the years of service yet, and I think that plays a part of it. And I think you see that in the way the referees treat him. Right, the referees. This guy gets hold so much, and they call nothing. And then you get guys with bigger names; they get every call. Once he starts getting the calls, his sack numbers are going to skyrocket. But he was disruptive every game, man. I can't tell you how many games I watch and go, wow, look at Jalen Carter, So, I think it's close. I mean, Zack Baun was great, don't get me wrong. And they got to try to find a way to keep him. But Carter was, man.
What was and what is the most troublesome area of the Packers for you heading into Sunday's game? And, like, if you were to pick an area of the team that, especially with the way that, let's face it, the Eagles aren't playing great football heading into the postseason, but they're not playing bad football. They've just not had all their pieces on the field. Like, Detroit's playing good ball because they played that Monday night game against the Niners. Then they turned around and played for an NFC championship or NFC home field advantage game. So they're playing with more momentum and more rhythm.
Right.
Whereas the Eagles, and again, I'm not saying Eagles, I shouldn't have said Eagles playing poorly because they're not. It's just they don't have all their pieces out there, and there's not really been a rhythm going into this. Does that concern you? And is there an area of that Packer team that could play into that?
Well, I mean, for me, the two things that worry me about the Packers game, if I have to choose something, is I think Josh Jacobs absolutely, he's a good running back. If he's running the ball, he's effective, and they're keeping the Eagles offense off the field. I think that's a problem. And I know Christian Watson's out, but that kid was a Jaden Reed. That kid killed us last time we played. So we've got to make sure. Yeah, I mean, we've got to kind of make sure he doesn't pull. He had big plays. I think he had a reverse. I mean, he had some big plays against us that went for a touchdown. So those two guys are where I think the Eagles, if they shut those guys down, I think it's a wrap. I do, but that's what worries me the most.
Don't you think this postseason will define Jalen Hurts more than any year so far that he's played? And here's where I'm going with it. You have the most talented roster in the NFL. And I don't think really, I think maybe you could make the argument if you want with a healthy Detroit that they have as compatible as a roster. He's got all the pieces here. I have been critical of him because I think it was a high school passing offense this year. 29-03, 18 touchdowns. They didn't utilize what they paid for. I mean, Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman built that team for it to be a prolific passing attack, not to be a running attack. I mean, you don't pay $111 million for three guys and you're 30th in passing. You just don't. Okay? Now, again, you're right to laugh because I'll tell you what, you're right now because they're 14-3. If they fucking lose this in this playoffs and they don't get it done, they're going to be called a one-dimensional football team. I promise you that they didn't utilize all of the talent. So right now, Philly, you're right. Sills, what you're saying, if they win the Super Bowl and they're in New Orleans, it's irrelevant. But if they get bounced and they don't play, how do you look at it?
Well, I mean, I guess I see it a little different because I don't see them being this monster in the run game and their passing numbers down because the inability to throw. I just think when you've got a running back who just went over 2,000 yards, could have broke the record, a historic year, when you got a guy running like that, why not use him? I mean, you would be crazy. And if you're going to use him that way, then I think it's natural that these numbers are going to come down. But I don't believe it's because Jalen Hurts can't throw or they can't make it work in the passing game on offense. I just think the running game was so dominant that it just made no sense to go away from it. That's how I see it. So if they go into this playoff, right, and they have a horrible game and Jalen Hurts plays horrible and stuff, yeah, then we can complain. This would be a really bad way to go out if you were to go out early, because I think this team is the most complete team going into the playoffs out of every other team in the league.
Well, then how do you look at Baltimore with a guy who went for 4,200 yards and 42 touchdowns and another running back who Barkley only outrushed him by 80 yards? I mean, he had
the Eagles win.
He had 1965. He had 1965. They were fourth in passing, and they were third in rushing, and they were able to. How about, okay, let's do it. Let's do a different one. Let's do Detroit. Detroit is number 5 in passing and number 3 in rushing. They won 15 ball games. They won home field. They got it done doing both. How come the Eagles can't do both?
I don't think the Eagles can't not do both. I just think it's.
Why didn't they?
They felt there's no need. I guess they felt like, why are we going to stop giving this ball to this man right here when he's getting 10 yards carried? Why? Because Howie Roseman wants us to throw a little more because we're paying this guy this and that. That's how I think it went. When, you look at that Steelers game and you look at the Steelers played really well against the run and against Saquon Barkley. But you know what? The Eagles had to throw more. And what did Jalen Hurts do? We went out and threw the ball fine. So I think they could do it if they need to do it. I mean, that's been my belief all year. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I'm saying that the way I see it is it wasn't because they can't. It was just because we got Barkley and he's playing this way. Remember, some of those numbers, when you talk about like Henry's rushing, he had a whole extra game to rush. They sat Barkley the last week of the year. So I just don't think they did it. I mean, you look at the Baltimore game. The Eagles went in there and they shut Baltimore down. So I think this team is the most complete team, both sides of the ball, going into the playoffs. And yeah, anything less than a Super Bowl, I think, is a disappointment.
Well, okay, to your point, and I think to my point, the first game of the year against Green Bay, they threw the ball 34 times. Since week 5, coming out of the bye, they've never thrown it more than 34 times. And they've gone on a 10-game win streak. Okay, right. Well, what they did was they took the ball out of Hurts' hands and they get the ball into Barkley's hands, like you said. So instead of having a balanced offense, they went one side of the football. Now, like you said, I think we're saying the same thing kind of in a way. They just had a philosophy where they were going to run with this guy and they were going to pick one guy, basically. He had 340 carries.
Yeah, I think
he had 55 more carries. He had 55 more carries than Henry.
Yeah, I think we're saying the same thing. I just think that you look at it as a possible flaw. I look at it like, well, they didn't need to do it, so I'm not going to hold it against Hurts.
See, so they didn't want to do it, and they're paying that kind of money. Okay, like you said, I have nothing to land on right now because you're 14-3. Okay, if they have to throw the ball, it's going to be on display Sunday. I completely 100%. Are you concerned about a couple more here for you? Are you concerned about the passing game? I mean, not the passing game, the pass rush game heading into this. Long is not a guy who's going to get a lot of yards running vertically, but he moves around. And are you concerned about that a bit?
He doesn't take a lot of sacks. I think I saw a statistic where he hasn't been sacked a lot. Like it was like 9 games where it's been less than 2+ times. When I worry about the pass rushes, when you got, when you're up 4 in the fourth quarter and there's 2 minutes and they're driving, that's when I want my Hassan Reddick. That's where I want my closer. That's where I worry about the pass rush, because I do think that edge rusher is still, a spot where they need to get better.
I'm going to do a couple over-unders with you. Jalen Hurts, over-under 220 passing yards.
I'm going to say over.
Okay. Over. A.J. Brown, over 130 reception yards.
I'm going to say under.
Okay. Saquon Barkley, over under 125 rushing yards.
I'm gonna say over, but I think it's right around that area.
Around 100. So you think he gets over?
I think it's between 115 and 125 yards. That's where I was thinking he would be.
Are you concerned about AJ going in with his knee hurt?
Well, I'm a little concerned about it. I don't know. They said it wasn't a big deal and they're resting him, but then he comes out first 10 minutes of practice on Wednesday. I was a little concerned about that, but apparently it's going to be okay. So, we'll see.
Final one here for you. Do you agree or disagree? I think the Packers have to play with the lead for them to win. Hey, and so this is what I picked for Sunday's game. I said 34-23 Eagles. I actually don't think, I don't see it anywhere across the line here, especially if Philly gets out to a strong start. I don't know how they, Green Bay's shown a propensity to play from behind like they did in that Minnesota game where they came back from 28 down. But and Philly really hasn't had to do that. I just don't see them having this opportunity. What kind of score do you look at with this game on Sunday?
I think I said in my preview prediction, I got 31-17 Eagles. I think the Eagles.
You think it's a blowout?
Not so much a blowout. I think it ends up being a bigger score maybe than it was, but I think first half fairly close, and I think the Eagles wear them out. I think that offensive line is going to wear them out. I think Barkley is going to wear them down, and I think the Eagles will probably run away with this thing in the fourth quarter. So that's kind of how I see it.
How about this, Philly? I said that's pretty much. I said the third quarter it's close. Then heading into the first part of the fourth quarter, it's probably close. And I think talent, wears them out. And I think they start separating themselves.
Yeah, that's what I think too. What would get me nervous if this thing's like I said, if this is like the Eagles up 3-4 with 2 minutes and 40 seconds left, and Green Bay's got the ball, then I get nervous. That's when I start worrying about that pass rusher. But to be honest, the thing that I worry about the most is probably the field goal kicker. That's the one area where it's like, man, I don't know what to make of Elliott right now. So if I had to say one thing that I really worry about, it's that special teams, that field goal kicker.
I want to sneak another one in on you here. The All-Pro team came out. Not one offensive lineman from the Eagles made first team All-Pro, and I said it was this reason. I said because, again, the passing numbers weren't up, and I said also they didn't go for 2105. I think if they would have got 2105, they would have had two guys that would have been on the first team. Instead, Penei Sewell gets it for – guess what? The victors go to spoils. They had the best record. They won home field. They have a more balanced offense, and they did it that way. Whether you think Penei, and by the way, what's his name? Jared Goff throws the ball 600 times a year. Hurts throws the ball about 350 times a year. It's almost 2 to 1. So, you're going to get a guy who's going to give up a sack. How did you see that? But I think they would have had two guys on that first team if they would have ran for 2105.
Maybe, but they still ran for 2,000, which has only been done 9 times. The thing is you talked about it earlier when we were talking about Jalen Carter and getting respect and recognition around the league. Well, Lane Johnson's been in the league how long? And every year, I swear, I think this guy gets ripped off from getting the recognition that he deserves. And I'll put another guy out there. I think Landon Dickerson should have been a first team. I'm sorry. I think he was dominant this year. So to me, you could have literally put that whole offensive line at least in the Pro Bowl. But I think you should have had at least 2 guys on that first team. And I think one of them should have been Lane. But I understand Penei Sewell. I get it. Okay. But
so your bitch is maybe Mulata with worse.
Yeah, and it's just that everybody else seems to get the name recognition when it matters, except for the Eagles. Lane Johnson does not get the respect that other great tackles in the league get. And yeah, every year he goes out and he does the same thing. And then you look at how the league views him compared to other people. They've always got people ahead of him. I swear, the Eagles are the only team that could have players that don't get respect the way that other players on other teams do. I swear, I believe that. Nobody's gonna convince me.
That's why it's more impressive and stunning on what Zack Baun did, because I agree with you. I mean, you could make the comment and argument, Philly, that Zack Baun should be the defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
Who had a better year than him? Trey Hendrickson's 17 sacks had no bearing on this season this year when it came to the Bengals because their defense stunk. And you know what?
Right.
You have 17 sacks on the defense that's ranked 30th. I don't know about you, but that's empty calorie stats. When you have the number one defense in the National Football League and you're one of the top 5 tacklers in the game and you've had the impact that you've had I don't know how he's not in the conversation. I guarantee you, man, it's either going to be Hendrickson, it's going to be Myles Garrett, or it's probably going to be Chris Jones that's going to win the defensive player, or TJ Watt. That will win the defensive player of the year.
Probably.
You think he finishes in the top 3?
No, I don't think he will. I think he should win it, but I don't think he'll. I mean, he'll get it. He'll get more respect next year if he goes out and has another good year next year. I think he'll get a little more respect. But because he came out of nowhere, I don't think they're going to acknowledge him. I don't.
Philly, I appreciate you, brother, man.
Thank you, my man.
I can't wait to see this thing starting on Sunday, man. I really can't.
Oh, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. And well, I can't wait to hear you talk to Mark about the Cowboys and their playoff game this week. That should be interesting. Oh, yeah, they're not playing.
I didn't bug him this week.
They're not playing.
I may bug him next week. I wanted him to have a week off to suck it up a little bit here. I wanted him to have a week off here.
Poor Cowboys. Real quick here. Cowboys ain't playing, buddy. I love it.
Of all these teams in the NFC, who do you think is on upset alert? I got to tell you, man, that Rams-Minnesota game, I don't know, man. Even though it got moved to Glendale, I could see that Rams team. Minnesota got thumped like that. I could see that Rams team beat them.
You think Rams beat them? That's interesting.
I think the Rams can beat them, and I think the Bucs have to be the ones. That's my dark horse team. I picked that about 4 days ago. I think the Bucs are somebody to keep an eye on.
See, I was wondering if the fact that the Rams-Minnesota game's in Arizona now, if that's going to actually benefit Minnesota more.
Oh, it does. It does.
So I kind of think I think the way I got it picked is I got the Eagles winning, I got Minnesota winning, and I got Tampa winning. So I got the Eagles-Tampa second round and Minnesota-Detroit. Detroit and Minnesota, rematch. So that's how I think the second round's going to go.
Wow, Tampa versus the Eagles in the second round, and the Bucs have had their number. The Bucs are the only team this year that has beaten both Detroit and the Eagles. So, I mean, that's going to be an interesting playoff. We'll see how it plays out. Philly, have a great weekend. And thank you,
my man. Thank you so much. Take care.
You got it. That is the Great Philly 500. Make sure you check his great and fabulous network out. Do me a favor, guys. Please hit that like button. I love the fact that we're here at this time of the season right now, man. And we have teamed up with our friends at BetUS. Make sure you team up with our friends at BetUS for the YouTube 150. That's right. YouTube 150 sign-up bonuses up to $2K. Second and third, 125%. Third, 125%. And crypto, if you're into it, 200% up to $2K in your sign-up bonus. Go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. Fastest payouts in the business, live wagering on all major games. The home of Michael Vick, the brand new Norfolk State head football coach. Go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. Do me a favor. Tell them Big Sil sent you.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
We noticed that there was mold creeping into our basement about a year and a half ago, and wanted to make sure that we were getting rid of the problem permanently. We actually reached out to several different contractors to get it resolved, and actually 2 of them recommended DryTech to us as a long-term solution. Other than the noise factor, we wouldn't even know that there was work being done on the basement level. It's really been a clean process for us.
Score and save this football season on your car insurance. Before the next game, save up to 40% on your auto insurance policy. That's right, 40% savings. Call an audible this season and contact the Del Val Insurance Group. They're an advocate for you, not an insurance company. That means they'll get you the right coverage and save you up to 40%. Call managing partners Fran or Jim of Del Val Insurance, 215-354-0122, or score and save at dvigi.com. dvigi.com.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sales National Football Show. Do me a favor, guys. Please hit the like button. The legendary Philly Godfather is going to be on here in the final hour of the program. One of my favorite segments of the week. By the way, we are working on Howard Eskin over the next couple days, too. I talked to Howard yesterday. So we're working on that. Angelo most likely is going to join us on Monday following the postseason game. So we'll have him on Monday with Gary Cobb. So we look forward to that as well. Who's been the assistant of the year in the NFL? Ben Johnson of the Lions or Vic Fangio of the Eagles? Try to have a little bit of common sense here, too. Okay? The guy's got the #1 offense in pro football. Okay? And he's got the #1 scoring offense in pro football. Okay? It's the #1 offense in all of football right now. So before you start saying, and he's got the #1 defense, no doubt. Okay? No doubt. Who has done a better job this year? Man, that is a tough question. That's a tough question. Both are exceptional, and both have done a great job. Actually, the Ravens have the #1 overall offense. The Lions are #2. They have the number 2 passing offense, and they have the number, I believe, 6. They're number 1 in scoring. That's where they are. There's too much homerism going on right now over in the chat, so I'm going to have to be the one that that has common sense here, because there's just too much of it over here right now about Fangio. Here's what I'll say. Ahmad St. Brown, the 2 talented running backs. I'm going to show you something here. And let me go here to the Lions here for a second. Jesus criminy. This is going to be to your points. Let me show you something here. Okay, so the Lions offense depth chart. Here we go. Jared Goff, first overall pick. Jahmyr Gibbs, first round. I can't remember where Ahmad St. Brown went. I believe he was he a 3rd rounder? Or like a 3rd or 4th round pick? I forget where he was. So let's just do the first rounders here. Okay? I think he was a 3rd or 4th. I don't remember. Jameson Williams, first round pick. So get this. Goff, number 1 overall. Jahmyr Gibbs, first rounder. Jameson Williams, first rounder. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Frank Ragnow was a first round pick. Their center was a first round pick, right? I think Ragnow was a first round pick. Shit, I can't even remember the school he went to. It was an SEC school, I think. And Penang Sewell, obviously, was a first-round pick. I think he was like in the top 10. So if you look at it, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 first-round picks in that huddle. Okay, right? Let's take a look at the Eagles and what the Eagles have on that defense. So there's like 5 first-round picks, most of them homegrown. Okay, and I'm going with, okay, and I not Golf isn't, I got it. But let's take a look at their defense. One, two, three, 4. First rounders on that defense. The difference is that most of them were young that have produced and were underachieving in Philly. And Jordan Davis still hasn't lived up to who he could be. Okay? Has he improved Milton Williams' play? Yes. Has Jordan Davis' play improved? What do you think the number one thing that Jordan Davis has improved on this year? Under Vic. What do you think is the number one thing that Jordan Davis has improved? His stamina. He's made it through 17 games this year, and last year he fell apart. Okay? Right, he's in shape, like Philly D says. He's prepared better as a pro. It's big. I happen to think Vic Fangio's done a better job than Ben Johnson, and I'll tell you why. The defensive pass defense last year was horrific. The run defense fell apart. They had no structure in what they were doing. They had no direction on what they were doing. Ben Johnson has all these high first-round picks and all this high-quality players. Sam Laporta is a good player. There are so many great offensive players. I mean, Ben Johnson, without a doubt, has utilized his ability and his talent and his huddle 10 times more than anything. And I disagree with Philly 500. Do you think Ben Johnson has utilized – hey, Yale, do you think Ben Johnson has utilized all of the assets in the Detroit Lion huddle? And do you think Kellen Moore this year has utilized all the offensive assets in their huddle? The answer is no. Some go like this. Well, Sills, the Lions this year, didn't have a 2,000-yard back. Well, you're missing a point on that one too. Okay? I think they were like fourth in rushing. I mean, they were like fourth in rushing this year were the Lions. Excuse me, sixth in rushing. They got over 2,000 yards as a collective group rushing the ball. They ran the ball. He's done a better job at moving the ball and doing a better job. Get this. Look at Tony. Tony says no. Tony thinks having the 30th ranked offense and the balance that you had in Detroit, where you won home field advantage and won more games than the Eagles, he thinks that Kellen Moore did a better job with your offense than Ben Johnson did. What an asinine take. What an asinine take. It's not even remotely close. Your quarterback looks like a high school quarterback. And the guy Goff looks like he's a superstar. Goff's had a spectacular year. Tony didn't say that. Okay, Tony, I'm sorry. Hey, Jared Goff is so underrated. I appreciate it. Thank you, Tony. I'm sorry about that, bro. I'll say this to you. I do think Vic. Okay, thanks, Tony. My bad. Hey, I do think that Vic has done a better job. I think he is the assistant of the year in what he's done. I really do. I think he's the assistant. And I think Ben Johnson has done a really good job. But if I had to pick between Ben Johnson, OC of the Lions, and Vic Fangio, I would pick Vic. I think it's pretty remarkable. I make a comment. Remember, you guys, I made a comment a couple days ago about Steve Spagnuolo, how and why that guy has not had any opportunities at head coaching. He's now become the hottest or one of the hottest candidates to take over as head coach in the league. You want to cripple Kansas City? Hire him. You're going to get a good coach. You're going to get a coach that knows and has worked with Andy. And in my opinion, I'd like Steve Spagnuolo to get another shot because the Rams even said they didn't do him right. Can you imagine him as the head football coach in Chicago and fixing that defense and then turning around and hiring a quality offensive coordinator like they did in Baltimore with Todd Monken for Caleb Williams? You got to determine whether or not you think Caleb Williams is the guy. I'm not sold he's the guy. Okay? Yeah, hey, Yale, he has, from what I understand, he had 3 Zoom interviews today with NFL teams and an introduction meeting and an introduction interview with 3 different teams. Steve Spagnuolo. Steve said he's not going anywhere because obviously he can't because of he's in a bye week. Remember, he's in a bye. So he could if he had to, but most of them were Zoom. He had 3 interviews today. You know what I would also do? If I was a team looking for another head coach, why do you guys think Pete Carroll's getting a lot of looks right now? Chicago just had an interview with him. Why do you guys think Pete Carroll's had interviews for head coaching opportunities? Why would you, if you were an organization, interview Pete Carroll? Yale says he wants a gig. There you go. Very nicely done. This is how you interview Pete, because Pete can put a staff together. Pete, if you're would be a guy we would hire. Who are some of the names you would hire as assistant coaches? It gives you an opportunity to hear from a guy who's going to go to the Hall of Fame on what his idea is of a coaching staff and what your football team would need on getting a coaching staff together for the potential coach that you really want. The more intel, the more interviews you do, the more opportunities you get, like interviewing Bill Belichick, Pete Carroll, Mike Vrabel. I'm not hiring those guys right away. I want to hear what they say. What kind of coordinators would you want? What kind of coordinator do you think fits my quarterback? Where do you think the area of need is? Hey, maybe you got to fire a general manager. You see what's going on in Las Vegas right now? They fired Tom Telesco a couple days after the fact. Why? Because they're getting ready to get a general manager in there that fits Mike Vrabel. They want to find a general manager that is going to be conducive to the stuff that Mike Vrabel wants. So they're going to try to put a staff together. Kellen Moore needs to drop back quarterback in order to make his playbook thrive. Correct. Jalen Hurts is more like a running gun quarterback. Lord's grace. This is where you have to look at the glass half full, though. Okay? You do it this way. Is Kellen Moore a good offensive coordinator? He was smart enough to know after week 4 that he had to do what? He had to adjust. He took the ball out of the hands of the quarterback and put the ball in the hands of the running back to win games. Kellen Moore did the most important thing that an offensive coach can do. You know what that is? That is win ball games. Some coordinators are in the room to put up great stats and great numbers and great scoring. Some are in there to win. That's what makes Ben Johnson a hot candidate. They're winning games with big numbers. And they're versatile across the line. There is no doubt that guy is the closest thing I've seen to Sean McVay. And I disagree. And one day, hey, Xander, one day I'm going to have this debate with John McMullen. If you think in 8 years, winning 4 division titles and 2 NFC championships and a Super Bowl is overrated, I'm not sure what you're looking at in Philly. Okay? And he's younger than Nick. I'm not sure what you're looking at when it comes to being a coach with a resume. He's won 4 division titles in a division with the Niners, with the 49ers in Seattle when you had Carroll and Shanahan in it too. And to some extent, you had Cliff Kingsbury in it. John's crazy because he got beat in a Super Bowl by Belichick. Okay, shit. Is that really that awful? I'm not sure. I mean, Sean McVay is not overrated. 4 division titles and 2 NFC titles. He's more impressive than any coach that's been in Philadelphia Eagle history. If Sean McVay was the coach in Philly, he'd be the greatest coach in the history of your franchise with that resume. No coach has won 2 NFC titles in your history in the Super Bowl era. And no coach has won, maybe Andy has won 4 division titles in an 8-year period. But you're talking a Hall of Fame guy in Andy Reid. I mean, you can say he sucks all you want, but his resume doesn't speak to him sucking. Okay? I mean, I completely disagree when you're talking about quality coaches. Oh, by the way, I put my vote in for the NFL Coach of the Year. And I ranked him top 10. McVay is better than Shanahan. I'm sorry. I think Sean McVay's a better coach. I do think Sean McVay's better. What has Kyle Shanahan done that McVay hasn't done better? What has he done? Name me one thing he's done that's better than McVay in LA. Nothing. There is nothing he's done. There's nothing he's done. Forrest Hill goes, McVay's record versus the Eagles. Who fucking cares? He's won more division titles than you have. Or Nick's young, so that's not fair. He's won 2 NFC titles and a Super Bowl. Who gives a fuck what his record is versus the Eagles? Dude, the Eagles aren't the standard. The standard is the Patriots and KC. The Eagles are not the standard. Don't act like it. They're not the standard. That's not a dynasty. The dynasty is the Patriots and KC. You're not the standard. If you win a Super Bowl, it's a different conversation. How many years ago now? How many years ago did the Eagles win the Super Bowl? 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Okay, let me say this to you. If you win the Super Bowl in this year, and you win 2 Super Bowls in 9 years, and you win 3 NFC championships in that time frame, you're now talking about something really great, especially with the mindset of the percentages of winning. You start validating all those wins. Right now, you haven't validated it. 1 Super Bowl will validate a decade. Here, do you guys not get where I'm going with this? Okay. All this winning, like when M. Reyes puts the 14-3, hello numbers. Now you start winning championships, that's when you start validating everything. And you start looking at it and you start going, here's the last 10 years of what they, or actually since the Super Bowl, when they won that sucker in 2017. And then you start looking at what they've accomplished if they win the Super Bowl this year. You win the Super Bowl this year, then you're starting to talk about here. Okay. Then you're talking about something completely different. 17. They're 13-3. They win the division. They win the Super Bowl. 3-0 in the playoffs. Great. They go down the list here. You guys end up making the playoffs in 22. You make it to the Super Bowl. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 20. Okay, 6 years, you're in the Super Bowl twice. That's great. Okay? 8 years, you're sitting at 14-3. You put 2 Super Bowls and 3 NFC championships inside of that 8 years. That's a great decade. That's a great decade. 3 NFC titles and 2 Super Bowls. You're 2-1 in that decade. It's pretty good, man. I mean, and the amount of winning. That's right. That's why, Yale, I said this. If you win this Super Bowl, you change everything with that front office to all the shit you talk, all the, me especially. If you don't get there, though, then you start looking where you're not delivering and you're underachieving. The Eagles are either going to this year validate what they've done and what they have done for the last 8 years, or you're going to be in the room where people are going to start saying you're underachieving. What I just said to you is facts. This is not an opinion. You can't go 8 years with 1 Super Bowl and call yourself a gold standard franchise. Yeah, right. Yeah, you start getting in that Baltimore room and the Patriots and the Chiefs and all that shit. The Rams. The Rams have been more accomplished than you. Look at their postseason record. The coach has made it that way. I mean, They got 2 Super Bowl wins since they were in St. Louis. Okay, there's 2 Super Bowl wins. Philly and San Francisco are similar in validation, correct. San Francisco, in my opinion, right now is finished. Hey, Niner all day, it's time to rebuild. You need to win a Super Bowl to justify it all. Absolutely, and they couldn't. Now they're starting getting rid of pieces. I think they got to rebuild. Okay? I think San Francisco's got to rebuild. The things they're doing right now in San Francisco, it's just not working. You've got to win these games. Now, listen, if you want to be a team that is like the Cowboys, 12-6, 12 wins, 12 wins, 12 wins, don't do anything, and you're kind of like America's favorite team to kind of goof on, that's one thing. I'm talking about greatness here. And setting, like Damian says, setting a standard. That's right. Okay? That's right. You need to win a Super Bowl to justify it all. Also, if Philly wins, who gets more credit, Sirianni or the front office? Front office. Sirianni's not going to get the credit because the credit is going to go to the front office, and they feel Sirianni's replaceable. They do. Sirianni's not going to get the credit for it. You think, hey, let me ask you this. Years removed from it. Hey, can you guys hit the like button, please? Let me ask you something here. Who do Philadelphia sports fans give more credit to the Super Bowl in 17 to today? Howie or Doug? Who do you give more credit to? Okay. Doug, who do you give the credit to this team this year and the 22 team to? Nick or Howie? The 22 team and the 24 team, who do you give the credit to? Nick or Howie? Yale goes more Howie. Well, that's why Doug's not here. What Super Bowl team do you remember that the general manager got more credit than the guy on the sidelines? Name me one. Jerry Jones didn't get credit for winning those Super Bowls in Dallas. Jimmy Johnson did. Name me an organization. Les Snead and Kevin Demoff didn't get the credit for the Rams winning the Super Bowl. Sean McVay did. Brett Veach doesn't get the credit for winning the Super Bowl. Andy Reid does. Keith says Ozzie in Baltimore. Two great. They had Brian Billick, and he had John Harbaugh, and it was Ozzie's players. I'm probably going to agree with you on that one, Keith. Ozzie. Ozzie's one of the greatest general managers I've ever seen. I've never seen a guy get free agents and draft. This guy drafts Ed Reed. This guy drafts Ray Lewis. This guy drafts Terrell Suggs. This guy drafts Jamal Lewis. This guy goes out and gets Rod Woodson, Deion Sanders. I mean, and then he gives you Lamar Jackson, which is insane. One of the absolutely greatest offensive or general managers that we've seen, on top of the fact of him being a Hall of Fame player. Okay? Just a great, great Absolutely sensational general manager. Before we get the Philly Godfather in here, he's going to join us here in a second. Just a couple things about those games. Denver and Buffalo. I like the matchups a little bit defensively, but I don't know. A rookie quarterback in Buffalo versus McDermott. I don't really think Buffalo's defense is spectacular, but Bo Nix, Josh Allen, I don't know. I appreciate that, man. Frank Reich and John DeFilippo. I think the guy who put that staff together is more the guy, and that would be Doug. That's going to be an interesting ball game at Rich Stadium. Should be cold as hell. I just want to see what this Rams team and this Minnesota team is going to look like. I don't know, man. Are you going to be able to rebound from what happened in that type championship game for home field? If Minnesota can rebound, that'll be interesting. I think the hottest quarterback going into the playoffs is Baker Mayfield. I think he absolutely, and he is my dark horse for this weekend. And boy, I'll tell you what, as much as I like Washington, there's just something about that Bucs team that I don't know. Just keep an eye on that. Here is my list for the NFL Coach of the Year. And this is my final vote for the NFL honors. Number 10, I got Nick Sirianni, the Philadelphia Eagles. Number 9, I've got Sean McVay, Los Angeles Rams. Number 8, I got Mike Tomlin, Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 7, I got Sean McDermott, Buffalo Bills. Number 6, I have Andy Reid, Kansas City Chiefs. Number 5, I have Sean Payton, Denver Broncos. Number 4, I have Jim Harbaugh, LA Chargers. Number 3, I got Dan Quinn, Washington Commanders. Number 2, I got Dan Campbell, Detroit Lions. And number 1 for the NFL Coach of the Year, my vote, is Kevin O'Connell, Minnesota Vikings. So my 10 coaches are Nick Sirianni, 10, Philly, Sean McVay, 9, Rams, Mike Tomlin, 8, Steelers, McDermott, 7, Bills. I got Reed, 6, Chiefs. I got Peyton, Denver, 5. I got Jim Harbaugh, Chargers, 4. Dan Quinn, Commanders, 3. And Dan Campbell, 2. And Kevin O'Connell, I have number 1 as the NFL Coach of the Year. I think he's done a remarkable job with a journeyman quarterback in Sam Darnold for them to go on and win 14 ball games this year. They've won a ton of ball games. And I think Dan Quinn's done a hell of a job. I think Dan Campbell's done a hell of a job. Overall number 1 record in the NFC. Super stuff here. All right. This is one of my favorite weekends. I wonder how Philly Godfather feels about this, but for me, my 2 favorite weekends in the NFL are the divisional rounds and the wild card rounds. Because this is where you get some of the best football and some of the craziest football are in these 2 rounds. Obviously, everybody's like, well, what about the conference championships? Most of the time, those things are hit or miss. Some of them are dogs. These type of games here could go either way. All right? Without further ado, plus I want to get his take. You know, the Godfather has certain people he doesn't ever want to put money on ever again. I think that Caleb Williams is one of the guys. By the way, all your super chats will be read at the end of the segment here. I have a new guy. My guy is James Franklin. I will never in my entire life ever bet in a big game Penn State. I will never do that again. He is the Marty Schottenheimer of college football. Marty was a 200-win coach in the NFL in the regular season. He was 4-14 in the postseason. That's who James Franklin is in big games. Holy cow. Big one tonight, Texas, Ohio State. All of the wild card games this weekend. Let's go to my favorite segment of the week. That is with my friend. How you doing, brother?
Doing great, man. I heard you got Sirianni, number 10. You sure about that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. When you're a mailman or a traffic cop or a doorman at a strip club, you don't get a lot of love from big sills here. Hey, table 6. I don't know, man. I just, I just think the job that Dan Campbell and the job that Mike or Kevin O'Connell did in Minnesota with that backup quarterback probably ends up having him win it because, I mean, that was a season of Nick Foles up in Minnesota,
Yeah, he was – I think they took it off the board, but last I checked, O'Connell was a minus 450 favorite, so it looks like he's going to get it. He's done an amazing job with Sam Darnold. It'll be a shame if they lose the Rams in the first round, but, that's football.
Hey, let me get what you thought of last night's semifinal game, Penn State, Notre Dame. Were you shocked or were you not shocked that Penn State would lose a big game like that? I tell you what, I was pretty impressed that Notre Dame is in the national championship game. I mean, that guy Marcus Freeman, believe it or not, has been an upgrade from Brian Kelly.
Yeah, he's done a great job, and Franklin again comes up short. Game was a pick 'em basically all week, and then late Penn State ended up being a 1.5 point favorite. There were some rumors about fluid going on in the Notre Dame locker room. Early on, I liked Notre Dame, but as the game got closer, I really felt Penn State could run on that team, and that's exactly what they did. And as long as they didn't make mistakes and brain cramps, they probably would have won that game.
Yep.
And in the end, with 57 seconds left, I mean, I don't know what that quarterback from Penn State was thinking. One of the worst passes I've ever seen him throw, Lar. And he threw that pick, and that was it. And that sealed their fate. Franklin comes up short again. But I don't think this time was his fault. But again, you got to take responsibility. You're the head coach. You didn't get the job done. And now we're going to see Notre Dame in the finals as a plus 250 team to win the whole thing. Obviously, we got Ohio State and Texas tonight, and Ohio State's the odds-on favorite. But anything can happen. It's a national championship game, so it should be fun to watch.
What do you think of tonight's game, Texas Ohio State? I mean, boy, I'll tell you what, man, you couldn't have been any more down losing that. I mean, winning a national we won a national championship in '83, and we got poleaxed by the Gators in the opener. They beat us 28-3. We went on a 10-game run, and we ended up winning, or 11-game run, actually, and won the national championship that year. It still felt hollow that we lost to the Gators that year, even beating that great Nebraska team 31-30 for the national title. It still was like, we didn't, Gators used to roll around going, yeah, you won the national title, but you didn't win the state title. And we used to go like this, what? And so I don't know, but I mean, got to hand it to Ryan Day, who I'm not a fan of. He's rallied the troops here, man. I mean, I think Ohio State has got to be the odds-on favorite now to win the whole thing.
Yeah, I think they're minus 120 to the favorite. We gave them out before the season started. I bet them. I got 5,000 on them at 4-1. I was getting a little nervous, towards the end of the season. But you got Chip Kelly as the offensive coordinator. You got Ryan Day. I think they were playing a little possum with some of the stuff they were shown during the regular season. They came in a little undervalued in the playoffs when it comes to the betting market. And they blew out Tennessee. They blew out Oregon as 3-point favorites. They outperformed the market by 17 points in that game. They crushed Tennessee. And now they opened up a 6.5-point favorite against Texas. Line went down to 5.5, and that's when some sharp money got involved. They laid 5.5 in Ohio State. At 7, I was leaning towards Texas because, it's a touchdown. But at 5.5, 6, where it's at now, Ohio State probably gets the job done. They probably win the game, and they go on to play Notre Dame, and they'll be the odds-on favorite in the national championship game. But it's been a great season. And again, anything can happen. I mean, it all comes down to who makes mistakes, like we witnessed in the Penn State game. And as long as Ohio State doesn't turn the ball over, lose the turnover battle in this ball game, they should win the game.
Are you concerned about Sunday's game, Packers and Eagles, with Jalen Hurts, with the rust, and the fact that now him and AJ haven't been able to practice pretty much this week? So it's been basically a month that those guys have been throwing passes to. I mean, he's been in the concussion protocol. You can't practice out there with him, so they haven't been throwing footballs until the last 2 days now. I mean, are you concerned about that, especially with a passing game that was 29th, this season, never really got going except for one ball game? I mean, are you concerned about that, especially with a well-coached Packer team? Now, the Packers have lost 2 in a row heading into this thing, so, I mean, they've wobbled all over the place, and I think it's got a lot to do with the injury to the quarterback, but they can run the ball and they can stop the run. How do you see this thing on Sunday?
I would be a little worried, but that Packers pass defense is banged up heading into Sunday. The second most banged up pass defense going into the wild card weekend. So I expect Hurts to bounce back. This line originally opened up Eagles -3, and the market thinks the Eagles are the team here. Now it's up to -5, so it's moved a full 2 points in the sports betting market. When I handicap the game, the Eagles appear to be the much healthier team. Like I just mentioned, when it comes to pass defense, they have a +11 health advantage in that department. I think Jalen Hurts bounces back strong. I went over 211 passing yards for him, so he's going to definitely need to pass the ball here for the Eagles to get the job done. As for betting aside, the Eagles, if you bet them in every game this year, I think they're 11-6 against the spread. They've covered the number right around 65% of the time. So they've made a lot of people a lot of money this year if you just bet them blindly. While the Packers, one game above 500, 9-8 against the spread, right around 52.9%. So they haven't made anyone any money. But if you look at the Packers' losses this year, I think they've lost 6 games on the season, and 5 of those 6 losses came by 5 points or less. So they have a knack of staying around, of keeping those games close, and that's attributed to their coach LaFleur. He does a great job with game planning, with second half adjustments. So even when the Packers lose, they lose close games. So this is a game where I'm not really looking to bet the Birds -5. Anytime the Packers have been an underdog of 3 or more points, they're 15-2 against the spread in the last 17 games. So like I said, they're able to keep these games close. Defensively, Packers got one of the better run defenses in the league. I think they're 5th overall in opponent rushing success rate in the second half of the season. So I think Saquon Barkley, if you're looking to bet his prop, I think it's around 103.5 or 104.5 in his rushing yards. I would go under there. I think the Packers cover the 5-point spread, even though I think the Eagles win the game. If you do like the Eagles, I would put them in teaser. You can grab them at +2 and maybe go under 52.5 because both defenses have been playing some pretty good football throughout the season. And in the second half of the year, Packers defense has come on really strong. Like I said, I like Jalen Hurts over 211.5 passing yards. I like Barkley under 104.5 rushing yards. Josh Jacobs, anytime touchdown, you got to bet that. He's been a monster there. And I think Jalen Hurts runs one in, so you can bet him anytime touchdown -125. And that's how I would bet that game.
I'm looking at 34-23. You're looking at it closer, right? You think it's going to be a closer football game because, the one thing that you mentioned, and you're right on about it, the Packers are one of the very few teams in the NFL that have a top 5 or a top 10 defense and a top 5 or top 10 offense. I mean, they're pretty balanced on both sides of the ball. They may not have the horses that the Eagles have, but, I mean, as a team and a 53-man roster, they approach these games, and you have to look at it this way. What would the Packers look like if they played in the NFC East? I mean, they played in the NFC North, arguably the toughest division, maybe not arguably the toughest division in all of football. If that football team was in the NFC South, they're probably a 15-win team. Yeah. Or, you look at them in the East even, they're probably a 13, 14-win team in the East.
And to be honest, if their pass defense wasn't so banged up, I probably would have looked to play them on the money line here. But I think that's where the edge is at for this football game. I think Jalen Hurts, after 2 weeks, he might be a little rusty early, but I think he gets it going in the second half. And if they can establish the run, it might not even be close. But I think the way LaFleur coaches that team, I think he can keep them around, especially with the defense that they play. They could probably stay within that 5-point Vegas number.
Let's go to the Saturday games and the Sunday games, and with a Monday night game, obviously, as you mentioned, moving to Glendale. The LA Chargers at Houston. And, boy, I think that Chargers defensive line is going to give the Houston Texans a good run for their money this year because they've moved a lot of quarterbacks around. And when you look at what they've done defensively, especially with giving up less points, they're one of the better teams when it comes to not putting points on the scoreboard defensively. You know, everyone looks at them as being like a passing offense. They've kind of lowered that number down with Herbert. His attempts are down big time this year, but they've run the ball more and they've played great defense. Derwin James is a great player. How do you see this game being played out in Houston, Chargers and Texans?
Yeah, the Chargers have played the more consistent football this year. Texans obviously banged up throughout the season, lost a lot of key guys. Some guys came back, some guys didn't. But I like the Chargers here on the money line, minus 150. The line's -3. Some places dropped down to 2.5. So there's some money coming in on the Texans that's pretty sharp. And as much as I like C.J. Stroud, I like Herbert better this year. He's only thrown 3 interceptions on the whole year compared to, Stroud. He's thrown 12. So that's big. The turnover margin, we talk about it every week. The turnover differential, the team that makes the less mistakes usually wins the game. On the defensive side, both teams are actually pretty strong. But over recent play, the Chargers metrics are slightly better than the Texans. 2 top 10 defenses. I think the game's going to be close, but I do like the Chargers, like I said, on the money line. If you do like the Texans, I would bet them in a teaser. Maybe grab them up to like +10 on the 7-point teaser leg with maybe the Ravens or the Bills, and you might be able to cash a ticket that way if you do like the Texans. But I think the Chargers win the game, and I think they cover the 2.5 3-point spread.
That's a 4:30 Eastern CBS game too. So on Saturday, the other Saturday game is Pittsburgh at Baltimore. It's a Prime Video 8 p.m. ball game. Pittsburgh said they're going to use Justin Fields a little bit more. They should, because the offense has stalled over the last 3 weeks here. But boy, I'll tell you something, man. Baltimore, the last 3 weeks, they've been in playoff mode because they had to be able to win the AFC North and catch Pittsburgh. They caught them. Man, I'll tell you something. The All-Pro team just came out this today, and there was Lamar Jackson. And you know what? I know people are going to say Josh Allen's probably going to win it, and I think he does win it. But I don't think you can get over 4,000 passing yards and 42 touchdowns with 4 picks and 950 yards rushing, 70 completion percentage. This guy's a freaking unbelievable. That's one of the greatest seasons I've ever seen in pro football history. I think the Ravens are just playing too hot of football right now. Do the Steelers have a shot at this game? It's in Baltimore.
Well, the line's 10. I think that's a little too
10?
high.
10? Wow.
I mean, these AFC North games are always a battle. They're wars. I mean, there's always blood on the field. These guys are going to go at it hard. And like you mentioned, the Ravens, down the stretch, they've looked unbelievable. But, you look at who Pittsburgh's played. I mean, over the last 4 games, they played the Chiefs, the Eagles, the Ravens, and the Bengals.
Holy cow.
And nobody wanted to play the Bengals nobody wanted the Bengals in the playoffs. And then you look at who the Ravens have played. Obviously, they played Pittsburgh, but then they played the Giants, a banged-up Texans team, and the Browns. So, yeah, they're going to look amazing.
Do you think Pittsburgh could be more – do you think Pittsburgh could be more battle-tested and ready for a playoff game?
I don't know about that. I do – the line is 10 points, but I think that's a little too high. I tied in the Steelers in a teaser, +17 with the Texans, +10 for some insurance. But this game might be closer than most people think, especially if Justin Fields can get in there, run the ball a little bit, change the tempo up. Ravens are missing Zay Flowers. He was responsible for 25% of their targets this season on the offensive side, receiving the ball. So they're without one of their weapons. Lamar Jackson is amazing, another unbelievable regular season. But we got to be honest, in the playoffs, his numbers just drop off a cliff, and he hasn't been that guy in the playoffs. Whether I don't want to say he's a choke artist in the playoffs, but he hasn't looked too good. And his teams have lost his 10-point favorites the 1 year against the Titans in the playoffs. So he has to get it done this season for his legacy, or else he's always going to be known as the regular season superstar and the playoff dud. So this is a big game for Lamar Jackson. I think the Ravens do win the game, but I don't think they cover the spread.
The Sunday games. Denver, with a rookie quarterback, rolls in to Orchard Park. It's a 1 p.m. CBS game. Denver has a pretty good defense, and I like the defensive matchup here because I think Denver's D, they got a really good rush end. They got obviously Patrick Surtain, could be a problem for Allen. There's not a lot of superstars on that Buffalo team, and boy, I said this, and we have been saying it all year. Can Josh Allen win 4 games where he's playing A football? He can't play B+ football because they'll lose. because they're not a great roster. Denver going in, again, can't say anything about weather. Denver plays in the same weather. So, I mean, how do you look at this game? Is this going to be one of those close games, too, also in the AFC side here with the Broncos going into the Bills?
Well, if you're looking to bet the Bills, I talked to my guys in Vegas and offshore, and they said 70% of the early action is on Buffalo. So that scares me a little bit. Like we talked about all year, Vegas doesn't give out free money. I think the line's too high. It's at -10. I've seen some 9s. I've seen as low as 8.5, but there's a couple of 10s still floating out there. This Broncos defense has proven they're one of the better ones in the NFL this season. They're ranked second only behind the Eagles in opponent yards per play metric. I think they're ranked number 1 in sacks per game and number 1 in sack percentage. So they're going to be bringing the pressure on Josh Allen. At 10 points, I think it's just I think that number's a little too high. On the offensive side of the ball, I know early the Broncos didn't look great, but over the second half of the season, actually over the last 11 games, they've been putting up 27 points per game. So their offense has started clicking. Now, rookie QBs, they usually don't perform well, first time in the playoffs and the wild card. So it's asking a lot for Bo Nix to actually go out there and beat this Buffalo Bills team that's battle-tested with Josh Allen. And to beat him as an outright, underdog of 10 points. But I think this defense and Sean Payton, they can devise a plan to keep him within that Vegas number. Can they win the game? It's going to be extremely tough. But I think they can stay within 10 points. Why not? I mean, this Broncos defense is legit.
I would take that 10 points. I mean, you want to give me 10 points in a playoff game with Sean Payton? Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna take that game. And now the problem you kind of waffle on that is because, dude, if you had Joe Flacco, I'd feel more comfortable than I do with Bo Nix because he's a rookie. Not that he hasn't played well this year, he has, but you never know what a rookie's going to see when this ain't playing in the Pac-12. You're now in the NFL playoffs here in a wild card. That's a little different world. You're playing against the greatest players on the planet, and I don't know, man. Rookie quarterbacks kind of make me nervous here, right?
It's tough, and you can't afford to make a mistake on this Bills team. They're number 1 in the league in turnover differential. Josh Allen doesn't make mistakes. So if you're out there making mistakes, it could get ugly fast. If you're not, and they play some conservative football, not take too many shots down the field, run the ball, smash mouth football, keep chewing that clock, they can probably stay within that number, especially with the defense they have out there.
Speaking of this, man, I don't know how to look at this one. This is the NBC Sunday night game. Washington, Tampa Bay, 12 wins for the Washington Redskins, Commanders. Congratulations to you guys. Why do I look at the Bucs? And I said it 4 days ago. The Bucs are my dark horse team in the NFC. They run the ball now with Bucky Irvin. Baker Mayfield is maybe the hottest quarterback going into the playoffs. On their resume, they've beaten Detroit and Philadelphia this season. I mean, I don't know. And the Bucs can play defense. I mean, you got Todd Bowles, who won a Super Bowl a couple of years ago with Bruce Arians.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you look at this team? Because Washington is a good football team. Maybe they got more balance with talent on both sides of the football, but boy, I think this is almost like a coin flip game for me, and I don't even know what the point spread is.
Yeah, Tampa Bay is a 3-point favorite. And like you said, Shake and Bake is having another great season. And I love it because he silenced all his critics.
He did.
He made Colin Cowherd eat his words. I mean, I know Colin Cowherd has clowned on him so many times, and all of a sudden, Shake and Bake is top 5 in passing stats across the board. So he's having a good year. And Jalen Daniels is having a great rookie season. We gave him out before the season started on your show to be the offensive rookie of the year. He's probably going to grab that. So we got 5-1 on our money on that bet. That was another great bet. Another legendary future we gave out on your show. This game's going to be one of the more fun ones to watch, I think. It's going to be a shootout. Total's around 50. I think it's going to be a lot closer than the first time they played. I know the first time they played, Tampa Bay smoked them by 17 points. But if you look at the box score, the first downs were almost even. Total yards were almost even. The biggest disparity was on third down conversion rate, where Tampa Bay was like 9 of 13, and the Commanders couldn't get it done on third down. So I don't see that happening again. Jalen Daniels has a lot more experience from that first week of the season. When it comes to betting the side, like you said, I think the game's a coin flip. And if you're giving me 3.5 points or 3 points on a coin flip, I'm going to take the dog every time. So I like the Commanders here, plus 3.5, +3. I won't be surprised if they win the game. Defensively, both teams have really good pass rushes. So they're going to be getting a lot of pressure on both quarterbacks. Offensively, both teams can put up points. I think they're averaging close to 30 points a game, maybe like 29 points per game. So there's going to be some points scored in this one. If I had to give an edge to a quarterback, I guess, Baker would get the slight edge over Jaden Daniels, but Jaden Daniels can beat you with his legs. He's got, I think, 500 more rushing yards on the season than Baker Mayfield. So he adds another dimension, at that quarterback position in this matchup. But plus 3.5, I like the Commanders. Give me the Commanders plus 3.5, plus 3.
And obviously the game moved to Monday night because of the wildfires in California. Minnesota at the Rams, 8 p.m. Eastern. ESPN Monday Night Football game. It's in Glendale, Arizona. It's been moved out of SoFi. Minnesota getting trounced in the final game of the regular season. Rams, boy, I'll tell you, I think, remember at the beginning of the year, you looked at them, they were so banged up. They lost 4 in a row. Then they turned around and ripped 4 in a row off. Then they ran into Philly, and they still weren't completely healthy at the wide receiver position in that Eagle game. Now they're going into the playoffs as healthy as they've been all year. I mean, Minnesota can run the ball, can throw the ball. I think Brian Flores is a great coordinator. But, boy, you got a great Brian Flores going against Sean McVay, who, get this, listen to Sean McVay's numbers. John McMullen says that he's overrated. And I go like this. If you think in 8 years, 4 division titles, 2 NFC championships, and a Super Bowl is overrated, give me that overrated every day. He's a heck of a play-calling head football coach. This is going to be a great battle here between Brian Flores and between Sean McVay. Who do you like in this thing?
Overrated. The funny part is he 40 years old? I mean, he's still young.
Younger than Nick Sirianni.
He's done more before 40 years old than most coaches have done in a lifetime.
He's younger than Nick.
Yeah, I love John McMullen. He's awesome, but I don't agree with him there. Listen, there was 2 teams nobody wanted to see in the playoffs, the Bengals and the Rams. And the Bengals just missed out because Andy Reid's pretty smart. And he said, you know what, we don't want to see him. But the Rams made it, so they're extremely dangerous. Before the season started, if you remember, I said, don't be surprised to see the Rams win the NFC West and them in the NFC Championship game along with the Detroit Lions because I think they have the 2 best quarterbacks in the NFC. And now the Rams are here and they're going up against a really good Minnesota team. But I give the edge to the Rams here. They're getting 2 points now that the game isn't in L.A. It's been moved to Arizona. I mean, Darnold got exposed last week. That Lions defense brought a lot of pressure, and you saw what happened to him, 18 of 41. A 4% completion rate. That was the worst he's had all season. I think McVay copies that blueprint and just keeps the boys coming. And that should, make Darnold make some mistakes. I haven't bet the game yet, but I do lean the Rams here. Historically, dome teams, when they have to travel, on the road in the playoffs, they don't fare well. I mean, I don't know what the number is, but it's pretty ugly. But the Rams aren't at home either. So it is a neutral site game. It is in Arizona. The Rams also rested all their starters last week, so they're going to be fresh. They're going to be fresh. And people talk about this Rams defense not being that good, but they have the 5th lowest TD rate allowed inside the red zone this season. So, they got that bend but not break mentality. So when you get in the red zone, it's not easy putting up touchdowns against this Rams defense. I kind of like the Rams here. I like them on a teaser leg if you can grab them plus 9. Maybe with Philly at plus 2.5 and the Bills -2 or the Ravens. But gun to my head, I kind of like the Rams plus 2 to cover the spread. So I think they're the more rested team. I think Minnesota was deflated last week. They got exposed, and the blueprint's out how to confuse Sam Darnold. And if McVay can take advantage of that, we could see the Rams move on.
Absolutely, man. Make sure you check out his website. Make sure you check out his Twitter feed. He will give you all the latest, especially all the prop bets. He is our friend, the Philly Godfather, each and every single Friday at 5:30. Brother, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Good luck, guys. Keep firing.
That is the Philly Godfather. I love that segment. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. Don't forget our great friends at BetUS. We've teamed up with them during this playoff time, and all those games you just heard right now are here for you with our friends at BetUS, the YouTube 150. Make sure you sign up for the YouTube 150 with our friends at BetUS. You get an opportunity to have 150% sign-up bonus of $2K. Your second and third are 125%. Your 200% in crypto is there for you at BetUS. Go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. Fastest payouts in the business. Live wagering on all major games. Go to betus.com.pa. Go to betus.com.pa. And do me a favor. Tell them Big Sil sent you.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
We noticed that there was mold creeping into our basement about a year and a half ago, and wanted to make sure that we were getting rid of the problem permanently. We actually reached out to several different contractors to get it resolved, and actually 2 of them recommended DryTech to us as a long-term solution. Other than the noise factor, we wouldn't even know that there was work being done on the basement level. It's really been a clean process for us.
Score and save this football season on your car insurance. Before the next game, save up to 40% on your auto insurance policy. That's right, 40% savings. Call an Audible this season and contact the Del Val Insurance Group. They're an advocate for you, not an insurance company. That means they'll get you the right coverage and save you up to 40%. Call managing partners Fran or Jim of Del Val Insurance, 215-354-0122, or score and save at dvigi.com. dvigi.com.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Thank you guys again for a great week. It's been a great 6 months actually here, man. You guys are growing the show big time. I mean, hey, by the way, we get a sponsor like John Morgan, Morgan & Morgan. That just keeps the show going even more. And now one of the biggest advertisers in the country is now advertising on your show. So you guys have done it. You're absolutely building it. I can't thank you enough. We cannot do this I used to think when I was younger in broadcasting, I could do it myself. I can't. Okay? It's a team, just like it is in any team. So thank you guys, man. Really is. Seriously, Morgan & Morgan, one of the biggest advertisers on the planet. And they're now going to be sponsoring the program. It's a big coup for you. Not just JAKIB. It's a big coup for you. And so it's a big deal. And so when we go back and forth like this, it's really awesome. And that's what's growing it. And we once again thank you a lot. Yeah, man, I said it, and I'll say it again. I got 34-23. I think it's going to be a comfortable win if the Eagles do everything right. Don't turn it over. Jalen, don't take sacks. Throw the ball away. You've got a good defense. Run the football. You should be able to run the football in this game against that football team. So I don't think it's going to be a nail biter. If it's a nail biter, the Eagles made it a nail biter. Guys, have yourself an absolutely fabulous weekend. We can't thank you enough for what is happening with the program. Thank you again. Big Joe, thank you. Big C, we'll see you Sunday, 2 to 6 on Monday, Eastern time. And we will see you. Don't forget also on the pre- and post-game show on Sunday on JAKIB Sports, but we'll see you on the flip side.